Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears and your eyes. Diva Divine Light, live from Brooklyn, New York.
Know your lane for what you saying, yo. I'm silly with my 9 milli with the dilly, yo. When I be on the mic, yes, I do my duty, yo. While up in the club, I be while in the studio. You don't wanna vibe, nigga, really and truly, yo. My main thug nigga named Julio, he moody, yo. I'm a nigga that'll slap you with the toolie, yo. Bitch, nigga scared to death, act fruity, yo. Fuck that, look at shorty, she a little cutie, yo. The way you shake it, make me wanna get all in the booty, yo. With no delaying for what you saying, yo.
Diva Divine Light.
Really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you.
You're watching Diva, the Divine Light. A fun-loving, caring, passionate person who talks about sex, celebrity, and real-life issues, and even abuse. So hit that like button and make sure you share the show.
Really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see this what you got for me. Put more than dance with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you.
Here comes the pitch, and it comes in wide. On the combo.
Yo, 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 yo. Hello, 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 everyone out there. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good morning and good afternoon to some. How are we doing? How are we doing? Well, to give you guys a update on my mission to the cardiologist today, I went in there and I was a little nervous and anxious to find out exactly what was going to be happening with me, if I was going to need surgery or not, to remove plaque and open up the narrowing that is going on in the subclavian of my heart. And I got good news. I don't need surgery. I don't have a lot of plaque. Yes, I do have some. And yes, it, of course, can cause issues and problems and get worse. But I can reverse the issue. So I just have to up the dosage of my cholesterol medicine. And I really have to stay away from eggs, which is one of my biggest things. And, pretty much stay away from the stuff that gives me cholesterol, like oils and things like that. So, yeah, so I will be doing that, as well as quitting smoking once again. This past week, I have slowed down on the smoking. It's really hard to give it up cold turkey, but I did it before. I can definitely do it again. So I've been cutting down. I've been smoking half the cigarette, and I'm not smoking the cigarettes every hour on the hour. So I'm trying my best. And as of today, I won't be eating any more eggs. I must stay away from that, stay away from fried foods and things like that. So no more Popeyes and things of this nature for me. When I order out, this is not happening anymore. So when the family wants to order out and eat that junk food shit, they can eat it and I'll eat something else. I'll cook for myself at home. So, yeah. So, that is wonderful news. I don't need surgery and I can reverse the situation. So, thank you, God. Okay, I had a mild stroke, but that was my warning. Like Diva, stop your shit. Get it together, girl. Get it together. Okay. So, yeah. Hey, let me say what's up to everybody in the chat. Hey, rocking with the truth. What's up, sis? How are you? God bless you. Hey, Kimberly. Let me give you a wrench just because I really like you. Hi, Kimberly. How are you, hon? What's up, brother? Cherie, I'm trying to tell you, sis. I'm trying to tell you, girl. Adiba needs to get her act together, okay? I'm not perfect, damn it. I am a Pisces and I'm hard-headed as hell. Anybody that's a Pisces will tell you we are hard-headed. That's why we got a soft ass. This is true. Purple. Thank you, sis. I love you. God bless you, mamita. And I hope you're doing well as well. Miss Frugal. Karen. What's up, lady? Lady J, what's up, lady? So, I figured I'd have some time today. I don't want to be sleeping. I've been doing a lot of that lately. My body has been feeling so tired. And I've been doing a lot of sleeping. I feel like some days I don't sleep well at night. I get insomnia. I have all these tics going on in my body, the cramps in my legs. I've been going through a lot. So my sleep patterns have been horrible. But we'll get on track, It's a lot going on. You're welcome, mommy. So, Don the Con. We are here to talk about Don Russell, R. Kelly's, aka pretend manager, associate, friend, advisor to R. Kelly. He was just a nosy body coming into the picture who ain't had no business doing anything for R. Kelly. So he was a whole groupie, okay? A whole groupie, y'all. Y'all remember this? Right. So, yeah, that's Don. He's part of this crew, the groupies. And he went all out of his way, and now he's in jail for 20 months. He has 12 months in one case for the Southern District of New York for making the threat to the theater. And then he got 20 months in the Eastern District of New York. And that was for stalking and threatening the Rogers family. Okay. So he's crying because he's scared to death of being in jail because, the inmates in there, they want to know what's his paperwork. They heard he a snitch. They don't like that shit. They love R. Kelly. And he's scared to death. And, I don't blame him. I really don't. I just wish him the best of luck. He went in as of May of last year. So May of this year will make 1 year. Okay. And then he's got to do like another 10 months, or he might be out within the next 10 months. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know why he's crying. I mean, you should put your big boots on. your big boy drawers and do what you gotta do because you did the crime. Now you gotta do the time. R. Kelly ain't tell you to do shit. You decided to be a whole what again? Okay, so since you decided to be one of those, right? Now you're locked up. But you'll be all right, Don. You will be all right. You're not going to get an appeal. You're going to have to sit there and wait, bro. Like, you're not getting an appeal. Your time is almost up. Okay. You only got a few more months to go. You will be all right. Put your big boy drawers on. Take off your tap dancing shoes. Okay. And put on your big boy drawers. You will be okay. All right. R. Kelly's going down for a whole 30 years compared to your little 20 months. You'll be all right, bro. You'll be all right. Your mom will be okay. Your family will be okay. Your wife will be okay. Your son will be okay. You will be okay. Okay? Take it from me. All right? You'll be all right. So, part of the document that had came out a couple of weeks ago that I told you about, matter of fact, last month in December, which we had read, right? The government's response a couple of weeks ago. And part of that document was his plea agreement. So I am going to read to you guys Don Russell's plea agreement. Now, before we do that, I'm going to take a quick little behind the scene break and I'm going to serve my family dinner real quick. So while I'm doing that, I would love for you guys to check out this video. Okay. This just came onto my news feed. I've never seen the video. And I found it to be very interesting, knowledgeable, and funny. And it is from the channel on YouTube is called Lawful Masses with Leonard French. Okay. And he talks about sovereign citizens. Okay. And he came across my feed, and the title of his video is R. Kelly a sovereign citizen? Guys, you'll never guess why he's asking this question. Can any of you guys take a quick guess as to why you would think that he would say and ask this question? Is R. Kelly a sovereign citizen? Now, we have been through lots and lots and lots of documents, guys. We have read them almost all. But they are talking about a particular document. And the document actually wasn't written by R. Kelly. The document was written by Donnell Russell. And this document was a forged document. R. Kelly never signed his signature on this document. Now, I'm going to use this video to use as a commercial break. All right. So we're going to see this video part by part as I'm reading the document. Okay. So once again, the name of the channel is Lawful Masses with Leonard French. Okay. I'm going to put his YouTube channel, the link in the chat. Please do me a favor, guys. If you would like to subscribe, you can subscribe. Show love to the video. All right. At least that. Leave a comment. Show love to the video. Like the video. And leave a comment. All right. If you want to subscribe, that's on you. If that's what your interest would be. All right. So I'm dropping the YouTube video link here in the chat, and I'm going to start the video, and I'll be back.
It was with a lot of glee and a little bit of hysteria that when we found out that there was a letter in one of the
Let me
R.
know if you
Kelly
guys can still hear the video. I'm
accusations.
going to go on mute, okay?
Now this is from October of
Give
last
me a
year. We
thumbs
only
up
found out
and let
about
me
this
know
now.
that you can hear the
It
video.
hasn't really been a major
5,
like headline
4,
or something. But then
3,
again, it's R.
2,
Kelly,
1.
and if you've heard about some of the things he's accused of, he's a scumbag. So I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings.
All right, everybody put on your tinfoil hats.
Yeah, so you may remember that everybody's favorite sovereign citizen, Edward Thomas Kennedy, has filed a bunch of stuff recently. So our ears are perked and our nose is to the grindstone when it comes to the sovereign citizen stuff. So it was with a lot of glee and a little bit of hysteria that when we found out that there was a letter.
Can you guys hear the video? Give me a thumbs up,
R.
please.
Kelly accusations. Now this is from October of last year. We only found out about this now. It hasn't really been a major like headline or something. But then again, it's R. Kelly, and if you've heard about some of the things he's accused of, he's a scumbag. So he has been accused of some things then, and he was accused of some things now. And he was apparently served with some court papers in, it looks like, the Faith Rogers accusation. And this is his response to the lawyer for that party. Dear Ms. Hills, Esquire, the attorney, this is to enlighten you concerning the presumption of court appearances that you may not be aware of, since attorneys are taught a coloring of law and not canon or common law. Color of law is not law, it's fiction for corporate fictions, of which I am not.
Very strong opening.
Very
Out of
strong
10.
opening.
Yeah.
I'm unaware of what coloring of law I have been taught, other than to say when we're in law school, we learn law more generally than it is in, say, any one specific state. Even for example, the state that you study in. So I studied in Pennsylvania for the Pennsylvania bar, and there still wasn't a heavy emphasis on state law. There was a little bit of an emphasis on state law, definitely more emphasis on Pennsylvania state law than other state law, but there was more of an emphasis on here's how law generally works. Now, when you go study for the bar, you will learn the relevant state law for your bar that you're studying for. But I'm not aware of what he means by canon law. I think canon is a synonym for something, not a different kind of law, but rather just another way of saying, the law of something is the canon of something. I'm not really sure.
If I Google it, canon law is ecclesiastical law, so it's in reference to the Catholic Church.
Okay, so church law would be canon law. Got it. So one, we don't follow church law in the U.S. We do follow common law, and attorneys are taught common law. In fact, we're sometimes taught more common law than we really need to know, because while you do make common law claims when you assert claims generally in like everyday lawsuits, there's usually also a statutory law, codified or written law, that is much more comprehensive and usually plays out a little bit easier. It depends. We are taught common law, and we are taught statutory law. We are not taught canon law. That's correct. It's fiction for corporate fictions of which I am not. Well, that's the first part that tells me it's a sovereign citizen thing. We're starting to talk about who's a fictitious person and who's not. Although I do get the confusion of what happens, what corporate entities and what the corporate personhood and all that thing is, especially after Citizens United. It's a little weird to have this whole corporate personhood thing, but that's not what we're talking about as far as the, when it comes to personal responsibility when you're responding to legal documents. So then I'm guessing if you're saying canon is a ecclesiastical law, then he's talking about some kind of ecclesiastical presumption of summons here. Canon 3228 V or 5, the presumption of summons. A summons when unrebutted stands as truth in commerce. Attendance in a court is usually invoked by invitation, and therefore one who attends court initiated by a summons, warrant, subpoena, or replevin bond is presumed to accept the position of a defendant, juror, witness, or thing, and the jurisdiction of the court. Those were in parentheses for some reason. And a replevin bond would be a bond to recover something, money or a thing, I think.
Yeah. Replevin is you want the thing back. So they stole your car, you want your car back. That's replevin, as opposed to money.
And so the bond would be the document that says you're entitled to it back. And so you go. What happens is, because who thinks about this? So let's say that you want your thing back. You go to the people who stole your thing, and it's sitting on their property. Do you just pick it up and walk away with it? What if they come out and try and get it? What if they call the police and say, no, that's my thing? So you have a bond, you have a piece of paper signed by a judge or something, equally persuasive that says, this is my thing. And I'm not the one that's in trouble. He's the one that's in trouble. But I have no idea what the hell he's talking about with this whole truth in commerce. A summons when unrebutted stands as truth in commerce. I don't even know what that means. I think he's saying that a summons is optional, and if you choose to not respond to a summons, then you don't consent to the court's jurisdiction then. If these instruments are not rejected and returned with a copy of the rejection filed clearly on the public record, the presumed position and the presumption of guilt also stands as truth in commerce. What does he mean by commerce? Like, is he talking about the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution?
I'm assuming that's exactly what he means. He's thinking some sort of interstate commerce. Yeah, that's exactly what he means.
Like, this is how we get jurisdiction on things. No, that's... the Commerce Clause is about states and federal rights. Where is the line drawn between a state's ability to regulate commerce within the state and how much commerce the federal government is allowed to regulate? And so the Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution, and there's also this inverse called the Dormant Commerce Clause, which says that well, I'll go over both in one sentence. The government gets to regulate and not regulate anything within interstate commerce. So this means they can regulate cigarettes because they travel in between states. They can regulate the internet because it travels in between states. They can regulate guns because they travel in between states. They can regulate lots and lots of things as long as they just go in between states. That's it. So, for example, if you thought, well, marijuana should be a states' rights thing, well, yeah, except that it also touches interstate commerce because supplies have to be bought and people come from all over and all that. So the federal government has said, it's what about 80 years ago this started, that, anything that just touches interstate commerce, even just a little bit, that we can just argue, has anything whatsoever to do with interstate commerce, we can regulate it 100%.
Yeah. Grumble, grumble, Wickard v. Filburn. Grumble, grumble.
That sounds like it has massive implications. I mean,
it changed the power of the federal government. It changed the balance of power between the states and the federal government forever. For the past 80 years. We don't even know, like we have almost no cultural concept of what life would have been like under more states rule back then. We can look at history, of course, but we don't feel it today. We don't go, oh, so great that we switched from states' rights to federal government rights in regulating interstate commerce. It doesn't work like that. If these instruments are not returned or rejected, the presumption of guilt stands as truth in commerce. So he needs to reject the things. The answer, response, reply to the subpoena is now rebutted via by notarized 16-word statement across the face of the summons, refusing the invitation, which states, I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings, and filed with the state's attorneys and the clerk of the court, placing it on the public record.
It has to be on the public record.
If he doesn't have to consent, and if it's so not applicable to him and everything, but then I've got to follow other court processes and procedures. It's such a picky choosy thing. Just go pay your damn attorney. What the hell? How does this man not have enough money to pay his attorney to do this for him?
I love how he thinks that the courts are like, hey, you got to show up, you got to participate in this. We have jurisdiction over you. If it's a criminal offense, we could go to jail. And he thinks that he can nullify all of that by clicking "do not accept" on the terms of service.
Yeah.
It sounds like he took way too big of a rip before writing this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
write drunk, edit sober. You got to remember the second step. It's Hemingway, right?
I've done some of my best work at a bar, but still, this is.
No, it's a good idea to loosen up a little bit. You just gotta leave time to proofread it when you're sober. And these are analogies. I'm not encouraging people to go get severely intoxicated to create, but there is a in between. There's a little bit of a buzz or a little bit of an experience. Please advise Ms. Rogers, your client, to abandon this heartless effort to try to destroy my musical legacy for selfish personal enrichment. If she persists in court action, she will be subjected to public opinion during the discovery process. For example, my law team is prepared to request the production of the medical test results proving the origin of her STD claim, as well as 10 personal male witnesses testifying under oath about her sex life in support of her claim, and complete records of her text/FaceTime message exchanges, which will be reviewed to match and be authenticated by the recipient to ensure that there are no omissions or deletions.
He's uncomfortably close to a blackmail problem.
Yeah, this is very close to blackmail. First of all, when you have discovery of information of this level of personal whatever nature, it's often protected. One, there's a basic level of confidentiality through the litigation privilege that things that are designated so are basically confidential between the parties until needing to be disclosed publicly as part of the pre-trial and trial process. But then you can also get stronger protection orders, and we often go to court for these protection orders, asking the court to protect someone's identity or protect certain information while we're in the middle of discovery and preparing our case. And then that information only comes out when it's been properly vetted and is considered relevant and necessary. And even then, sometimes certain personal information or salacious things don't come out that don't need to. Courts have standing orders to not disclose things like birth dates and social security numbers and home addresses in criminal cases or non-criminal. I think it's non-criminal cases, something like that. So it finishes here. If Ms. Rogers really cares about her own reputation, she should cease her participation and association with the organizers of this negative campaign. Counteractions are in the developmental stages and due to be released soon. He like Kurt said, this is really close to some kind of witness tampering or blackmail or extortion or something, because you can't threaten a witness in a case. You really can't even attempt to influence them, right, Kurt?
Pretty much.
You really can't even say, by the way, I disagree with what you said you're going to testify about. You shouldn't testify. That's pretty.
That's obstruction.
That's obstruction. That's over the line. You can bring your own witness, and if he has this law team, which I've never heard of anyone call it a law team, but okay.
No, I kind of like it though. Maybe we should call ourselves a law team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the guy, can't use words. He is supposed to be an R&B artist though, right? That does involve words. But if he has a law team, why didn't he just have them write this? That's just weird. So this goes on. This is not the end of it. He writes a page called Testimony. I, Robert Sylvester Kelly, an Illinoisan of Chicago, Illinois State.
I like the Illinoisan. That's a nice touch.
That is not the word. As somebody from Illinois, I'm pretty sure it's Illinoisian and not Illinoisan. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Make oath and say /
Okay, guys, I'm back. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Make sure I'm back online. So they're making fun of, as we know, Don Russell. They're making fun of R. Kelly because they think that R. Kelly wrote this letter. But it wasn't. As we know, it was Donnell Russell, who is the pretend manager, advisor, and friend to R. Kelly. Hi, Mama Rogers. What's up, baby? God bless you. This is this gentleman online. He has a YouTube channel, and he does talk about sovereign citizens. And it so happened to be that this video scrolled on my feed, and he's asking the question, is R. Kelly a sovereign citizen? So he's reading the letter that was put in to the lawyer, Mama Rogers, Lydia, when this all started out with the lawsuit in New York for your baby. And so he's reading it, and he's like, is R. Kelly a sovereign citizen? Because listen to the way this letter is being written. Like, what the fuck? Why can't R. Kelly's attorneys write this for him? R. Kelly can't afford attorneys? What the hell? So they're going in on the document that was originally sent when the lawsuit was put in place for you guys. So that's what we're reading, Mama Rogers. Hey, wifey, how are you? That's what we're looking at. I'm going to read his plea agreement now. I just finished serving everybody in the background, so everybody's good. Everybody's sitting down and eating. So, hey, Jackie, what's up, my lovely lady? Queen, what's up, baby? How are you, sweetheart? Who else jumped in here? Okay, honey. Jacqueline. Ears. What's up, brother? How are you, papi? What's up, my boy? Melatonin for sleep. And I have some too, because I give it to my son every once in a while when he goes through his stuff. You have mustard packets on your nightstand for leg cramps. Really? You just need a dime size. They wake me up out of my sleep. Yeah, the leg cramps. Yeah, they do that to me too, girl. And then I'd be twitching, and my legs be twitching and jumping all over the place. I'd be going crazy. So, hello, good evening to everyone. Yeah, this was years ago, of course. This was years ago. This was in 2018, mommy, right? So, or 17, right? 2017, 2018. So, yeah, so this group they talk about sovereign citizens, and I found it to be very interesting and very funny. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to play this video every now and again when I go to take a break. All right, and we're gonna watch this video part by part. In the meantime, let me stop sharing this. You know, melatonin, you shouldn't take it every night either. It's not good for you like that. Just to let you know, I've done some research on that as well. That's why I don't give it to my son all the time. Okay, now. Let me share my screen with you guys. Window, here we go. Hey, Steady, what's up, puppy? Thank you. All right, now, let me do. Okay, let me get this banner off the screen here. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Now I'm going to put this into a solo layout. Okay. Okay. So this is what was in the document. It was labeled as Exhibit B. And okay, no, it's this way. And as we know, this is the plea agreement. Okay. Let's see if you guys can see it. Let me know. Is this a good size here? Okay. Hold that thought. Okay.
Oh,
Be safe driving, Mama.
Mom.
Oh, really? For fibromyalgia. Wow. Maybe I should tell my sister about that because my sister has fibromyalgia and she has a rough time, you know. They didn't prescribe her anything for insomnia or anything like that. But she does go through it, you know, with pain and stuff. So, okay. So let's get to this document. All right. So as we know, this is the United States. This is coming from the United States District Court of the Eastern District of New York. And it's the United States against thank you, my love.
Is it good? Do you want more? Is it too sweet or is it fine? You want more? You want more?
Yeah. Thank you, baby.
Half the cup full.
The same way you gave me in that cup now. Okay, so this proceeding happened on Tuesday, July 26th of 2022. Okay, thank you, baby. And this is the transcript of criminal cause for guilty plea before the Honorable Anne M. Donnelly, the United States judge. So the appearances for the government were Nadia, Anna, and they are the assistant United States attorneys. For the defendant, as we know, Michael Friedman is representing Donnell Russell. Okay. Next. Okay. Okay, so here everybody is stating their appearances. The government announces who they are. The defendant's lawyer announces who they are, who he is. And then the judge says, "Good afternoon to everyone." And Donnell Russell said, "Good afternoon, Your Honor." The judge says, "So I'm told that Mr. Russell wants to plead guilty to the sole count of the indictment. Is that correct?" Mr. Friedman, which is Donnell Russell's lawyer, said, "That's correct, Your Honor." The judge says, "Let's begin by swearing Mr. Russell in." The defendant was sworn in. He said, "I do." The judge said, "Thank you. You may be seated." Then she says, "Okay, Mr. Russell, as I said, I'm told you want to plead guilty to the sole count of the indictment, and you're doing that pursuant to an plea agreement." Then she says, "Is that correct?" And he said, "Yes, it is." The judge says, "Okay, obviously, this is a serious decision, and I have to be sure that you understand all the consequences of pleading guilty, as well as the rights you're giving up." Now, Judge Donnelly said this off the bat. And then he had the nerve to come back to appeal the decision, because he pleaded guilty and he agreed that he understood everything and that he understood the consequences of pleading guilty. And he also understood the fact that he was giving up his rights. So then she continues to say, "So I'm going to explain those rights to you. And then I have to ask you a number of questions to make sure that the plea is valid. If there's something that you don't understand, you want me to repeat, just let me know. And if at any time during the course of today's proceeding, you need to talk to your lawyer about anything, let me know that too. I'll give you as much time as you need. Okay?" The defendant says, "Thank you." The judge says, "Now you'll note that our courtroom deputy had you take the oath. And because you're under oath, if you were to answer any questions falsely or make a false statement, you could subject yourself to additional charges. I'm not concerned that that's going to happen, but I just want to make sure you understand the seriousness of taking the oath. Do you understand?" He says, "Yes, ma'am." She says, "Okay, tell me your full name." He said, "Donnell Anton Shadell Russell." All right, guys, give me a second. Give me a second, sis. Okay, guys, give me a second. I'll be right back.
I hereby affirm that 1, I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. Okay, let's kill this now. This is not contract. When you get a summons in the mail, that's not a contract. The summons is part of your process, is part of your due process. The process or procedure that is due to you under the law that allows you to have a meaningful interaction with the court system and have your rights fairly adjudicated by an unbiased court of law in a timely fashion. Now, some of that's loose. Timely means a year in many cases. Being bonded from jail is usually 3 days, which is an awful lot if you're innocent or otherwise prepared to bond out. So contract law just simply does not apply to receiving a summons in a court order. Let's continue, though. I am exempt and not subject to this court, so I don't know why you are even addressing me, or why you continue to address me when I do not accept this offer to contract and I do not consent to these proceedings. I am a flesh and blood, living, breathing American national and native of Illinois. Private agreement is mutually agreed upon and entered into on the 14th day of the 9th month of the year of our source, 2017, between the juristic person, Robert Sylvester Kelly, copyright, also known by, and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name, except Robert Sylvester Kelly, hereafter jointly and severally debtor, and the living, breathing flesh and blood man known by the distinctive appellation Robert Sylvester Kelly, copyright, hereinafter creditor.
Okay, I have so many questions.
He's loaning himself money?
There's 2 more paragraphs like this.
Year of
Robert
our
Sylvester
source is
Kelly
the
in
first.
this
I've never seen that
private
before.
in this private agreement, the term Robert Sylvester Kelly means Robert Sylvester Kelly copyright, and any and all derivatives and variations in the spelling of said name except Robert Sylvester Kelly common law copyright symbol 1985 Robert Sylvester Kelly copyright, all rights reserved. What?
I'm concerned for this man's health.
Okay, so what it looks like, maybe he like did a copy paste and then changed some words around, but I wasn't aware that there was a debtor or a creditor. I wasn't aware that you could copyright your name or names in general.
Wow. Okay.
Because trademark, I could understand. If he wants to say my trademark is R. Kelly, okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, my
But-
trademark, I perform under the name R. Kelly, and this is my trademark, and you can't use it, and all of my content is copyrighted. That's fine. But that has nothing to do with a court case about what I'm guessing this is about. Since I am not voluntarily involved in any of this, and never conscionably was, and since my assets have been or are being dragged into this mess without my knowledge or consent, and since all the other parties that secretively are benefiting or benefited themselves at my expense are now trying to palm this situation off on me, and since this court works for those same parties and is acting in gross conflict of interest and under color of law, any issue related to this complaint that continues to involve me or affect my assets in any way is going to be settled by private binding arbitration, and I am going to choose the arbiter. Now that you've made your offer and I've made mine, it is time for all of you to give me some answers. By, I'm assuming this is Robert Kelly, and then there's some kind of witness here. The funny part is the witness line doesn't say who the witness is. So we know who is supposed to be signing the undersigned line, the by line, that would be R. Kelly. But then who's the witness? It doesn't say. It does have this little weird paragraph here. Autograph, common law, copyright, 1985, Robert Sylvester Kelly, all rights reserved. No part of this, or no par of this autograph, common law, copyright may be used nor reproduced in any manner without prior express written consent or acknowledgement. Oops, I guess we shouldn't be talking about it, guys. He said we can't. Without prior express written consent or acknowledgement, as signified by his signature in red ink. Unauthorized use of Robert Sylvester Kelly incurs same unauthorized use fees as those associated with his copyright name as set forth in paragraph 1 under self-executing contract security agreement in event of unauthorized use. Enclosure, published copyright notice. What?
Is he really threatening to go after people for unauthorized use?
Yes, sue us, R. Kelly. Sue us for talking about your strange court filing here.
Oh, the irony.
So now he files this notice of delivery I, June Barrett, declare that I caused the foregoing notice of delivery to the clerk of the court, including these attachments. I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings on the face of the summons and verified complaint, and demand for jury trial, living testimony in the form of an affidavit, and Anne Faith Rogers pictures and text messages to be served upon the persons listed below by having a copy of said notice of delivery and attachments electronically delivered to the Supreme Court of the State of New York, etc. And then he writes on top of the complaint, the summons, I do not accept this offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. Is that a stamp? Does he have like a giant stamp? That he just
I
like,
want that stamp.
Can we make a T-shirt that
Yeah,
says
I
that?
want to order it.
we need to make a T-shirt that says that, and we need to order a giant stamp that says that with a giant stamp pad. And then the same thing on the notice of appearance, you are hereby summoned to appear. He says the same thing. There is a notary public named June Barrett who had to witness this for him. That's funny.
June Barrett probably didn't actually read any of it, which is for her own benefit.
The notary is just a witness of the signature. So this is not, the notary didn't sign off on any of this. The notary is just literally a professionally licensed witness. When you go to have a will signed and things like that, depending on the circumstances, this is not legal advice when to use a notary, but sometimes when you have to have an official witness for something, you go to a notary who then just makes sure that they check your identity, they check the other party's identity, they see the two of you sign it. You often don't want to sign the document until you get to the notary, so you can sign it in front of the notary, and then the notary stamps it and makes their own signature that says they saw the signatures and verified it. And then when you go to court over this document later, you don't have a second level of dispute over whether the document was actually signed by the parties or not. Because look, it was witnessed by a notary. We can either just ask the notary, or why even challenge it? Because look, it was witnessed by a notary. So that's why he's doing this thing with the notary. Now, can we get some follow-up on this? I'm assuming this did not work for him. Okay, and the reason that this is in the news now is it looks like it is being released now. This letter was released on or about January 15th, it looks like.
Which probably means that the lawsuit was adjudicated pretty recently, right?
And it looks like Robert Kelly's lawyer, Steve Greenberg, has denied the letter's authenticity, says it was obviously not authored or signed by Mr. Kelly nor sent on his behalf. He doesn't write the letters. So yeah, this could be entirely fake. If so, that's an awfully interesting thing to fake.
Well, and the fact that it's notarized would be weird too.
Well, let's find out. Is there a June Barrett notary? June A. Barrett notary does not come up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I don't find a June A. Barrett notary on Google. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm not finding that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was a notary for a while, and I didn't exactly advertise it, so it's possible that you can be a notary. And
yeah, but wouldn't it show up on some kind of roles? Like if I search for Kurt Mueller attorney, you're going to show up on some kind of role.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, back in the day, at least, and I don't know if this is still true, it was in a physical book. Yeah, so I don't know if it's listed online now. That was back in '99, so yeah.
Yeah, like so I searched for a notary near me that I know, so I know someone's name, and she came up in at least 3 different places right away.
Wasn't there an identification number near her signature?
Probably.
Possibly.
Like,
let's take a look.
When it gave her location.
What is this weird zip code thing?
Which one?
June Barrett, Illinois State, CF 60623.
60623 is a Chicago.
Yeah, but CF 60623, CF?
I don't know what CF is.
And
I wouldn't
whoever
know what-
says Chicago, Illinois State
Is that what it says? Oh, Chicago, comma, Illinois State. It is weird, but
Yeah, so the proper way to abbreviate it is Chicago, comma, capital ILL. I'm
Just
not saying that, you can't do it differently, but who writes Illinois State?
I bet it's another sovereign citizen thing. He's trying to make a point about Illinois being a state and like not part of the federal government or something is what I'm betting that means.
So sovereign citizen June Barrett as well?
No,
Or
I'm suspecting that R. Kelly or whoever wrote this
he
prepared
prepared
this,
this and then just had her.
Yeah, so I'm suspecting
sign it.
Barrett did not prepare this page.
Okay, and let's just compare. Let's do a few things. Compare her signatures on the various pages. Her signatures don't match. You guys seeing this?
They do look different.
I make
They look very different.
the first whip of my L for my name always looks almost exactly the same, and hers looks different each time.
LBX Annie says that when they did a search for CF60623CF, the only result was this PDF.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this could very well be fake. It is a decent fake if it is fake, and it certainly smacks of sovereign citizen stuff. It could also be that someone did send this and then just more or less, later on their lawyer denied it, because really what's the consequence of that anyway? If my client sent something like this, I might tell the opposing side to ignore it and, apologize for my client speaking out of turn. And then, if it got public, to tell the world, this didn't come from my client. This is a fake. It certainly sounds like a real thing that could have happened, because this is what sovereign citizens do, or what that type of behavior leads to. It's always fun to read one of these things and see the latest thing that they've come up with. And I don't mean they collectively. I just mean someone who denies the jurisdiction of the system. And this is a very basic misunderstanding, by the way. Like, I'm not trying to get too down on or raise myself up as high and mighty above people who misunderstand the law. Actually, I think I have a lot of empathy for that. I'm not saying you need to agree with me that I have a lot of empathy. I feel like I have a lot of space in my heart for the forgive them, they know not what they do position. The law is confusing. No one really explains to you in school what a social contract is, how that works, let alone that it's not really a contract. It's more of like a guideline that's enforced with your life. Either obey the social contract or face the consequences of not obeying the social contract. Could be getting locked up, could be being exiled socially, could be worse than that. So I understand how someone could get through American high school and not understand what the basic sources of law are. But this is just next level nuts.
Okay, so I found her.
Yeah, I found for the notary public search, June Barrett from Chicago. I found a commission number, but it says that she's inactive.
Yeah, that's possible. It does on this say that her commission expires 2020. My commission expires November 15th, 2020. So how could she be inactive unless she actively made herself inactive? And this document, what are the dates? October 29th, 2018. So if she signed this just a few months ago, someone may have used June Barrett's services and then used her seal and replicated her signature or a signature.
Several different signatures apparently too.
Well, it could be. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be that her signature, the slant is different on the T's are different on those two.
This is where I get nervous because my signatures don't look the same.
Yeah, this looks to me like someone has potentially forged these signatures. I'm not accusing anyone, but geez, that's someone who's approximating someone else's signature. Let's look at the October 29th as well.
I mean, my signatures never look the same, so
yeah, but certain parts will. The way you do certain loops or the slant that you choose. A signature often has an attitude about it. And if you read the signature like you would read a person's attitude, it is often about 85% correct. So if a person is writing in very small font, like too small for the line that they're writing on, you can sort of assume that person might lack confidence. If a person's slant is way too far to one side, you could again infer that they are feeling somewhat off. If a person's signature is way too large for the thing, they may be feeling weak and maybe overcompensating. If a person's signature looks shaky, they may literally be nervous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I am missing one step.
Yeah.
It's how would a third party who would forge this know of the original summons in order to forge the letter? I mean, they'd have to know about it.
Wouldn't the summons be on the docket though? Wouldn't when the complaining party requests the summons, isn't a copy of the summons put on the docket?
I don't know how Illinois does business.
So it's possible that it was served and maybe even the return of service.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. I'm back. My sister, my older sister called me to see how I was doing. I had to talk to her. So sorry about that, y'all. I'm back. But you see what these guys were saying about the signatures and everything? Wow. Interesting. So now this is to let us know that R. Kelly never signed those documents. That was all forged signatures. Those were forged signatures. Okay? So let's go back to the reading. Let's go back to the reading. Okay. So now the judge continues questioning him. Hey, Dahel. Hey, Shorty. What's up, my ladies? How are you? Good to see you guys in here. So, all right, let me go back to, okay. So now the judge asks Donnell, how old are you? He said 47, sorry. She said, how much education have you had? He said, some college. She said, all right. And have you ever been hospitalized or treated for any kind of mental illness? He said, never. She says, and are you currently under a doctor's care for any reason? He said, no. And have you ever been treated or hospitalized for any kind of an addiction, drug addiction, or alcohol addiction? He said, never. The judge says, and have you taken any of substance in the past 2 days that would affect your ability to understand what's happening in court today? He said, no, I haven't. She said, and is your mind clear today? He says, absolutely. Then the judge says, and counsel, I know you have discussed the case with your client. Is that right? Mr. Friedman said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, and in your view, does he understand the rights that he's giving up by pleading guilty? Mr. Friedman said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, and have you also talked to him about the effect of the sentencing guidelines? Mr. Friedman said, yes. The judge said, do you have any questions about his competence to plead guilty? Mr. Friedman said, no. The judge says, all right, Mr. Russell, have you reviewed a copy of the indictment that's pending against you? That's the written charge? Russell says, yes. The judge says, and have you discussed the charge as well as the case in general with your lawyer? Mr. Russell said, yes, I have. The judge says, and it's the only count in the indictment, and it charges you with interstate stalking. And I'm just going to paraphrase what the charge is. It's that on or about and between November of 2018 and February of 2020, in the Eastern District and elsewhere, you and others intentionally and knowingly used the mail, computer service, or facility of interstate commerce to engage in a course of conduct that caused, attempted to cause, and would reasonably be expected to cause substantial emotional distress to Jane Doe, whose identity is known to the grand jury and to someone in Jane Doe's immediate family, with the intent to harass and intimidate both Jane Doe and the family member. That's the charge. Do you understand the charge that's been made against you? Don Russell said, yes, I do. Judge Donnelly said, and have you had enough time to talk with your lawyer about whether or not to plead guilty? Don said, yes. Judge Donnelly said, are you fully satisfied with the counsel and the representation that your lawyer has given to you in this case? Don says, absolutely. That is funny. He says, absolutely. But yet he came back on an appeal to complain that he had ineffective counsel. But here he says he had no problem. Everything was good. Absolutely great. Then the judge says, all right, now you have the right to continue to plead not guilty. Nobody can force you to plead guilty. Do you understand? And he said, yes. Then she says, under our Constitution, you would have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. Do you understand? He says, yes. The judge said, at a trial, you would be presumed to be innocent, and the government would have to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand? He says, yes. The judge said, you would have the right to have the assistance of counsel. Your lawyer would represent you at the trial, and at every stage of the proceeding. Do you understand? He said, yes. The judge says, and at trial, you would have the right to see and hear all of the witnesses and have your lawyer cross-examine them as part of your defense. Do you understand? The defendant said, yes. Judge Donnelly said, you would have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify as part of your defense. Do you understand that? And he said, yes. And you could also testify if you wanted to. Do you understand that? And he said, yes. Then Judge Donnelly said, if you decided that you didn't want to testify or that you didn't want to call any witnesses, those facts could not be used against you. Do you understand? And he said, yes. The judge said, that's because it's the government that has the burden of proof. They have the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand? He said, yes. The judge says, when you plead guilty, there's no trial, and that you'll have given up all those rights. Do you understand? He said, yes. The judge said, what will happen is I'll just enter a judgment that's based on your plea. Then the government no longer has the responsibility to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand? He said, yes. Now the judge said, now, I do. If you plead guilty, I have to ask you questions about what you did so I can be sure you're guilty of the charge to which you seek to plead guilty. And so you will be given up your right not to incriminate yourself. Do you understand? And he said, yes. The judge says, do you have any questions about any of the rights that I've explained to you? He says, no, I do not. The judge says, and do you need any additional time to talk to your lawyer about any of the things we've talked about so far? Don says, no, I'm pretty clear on everything. He's clear on everything, guys, but yet he came on an appeal to say that his lawyer coerced him to plead guilty and that he shouldn't be doing the sentence that he's doing right now. So then the judge says, let me know if you need some time, okay? The defendant said, okay. The judge says, are you willing to give up your right to a trial and all those rights I've just discussed with you? The defendant said, I am. The judge says, now, I understand that you're pleading pursuant to an agreement with the government that's been marked as Court Exhibit Number 1. And I just want to make sure, do you have a copy of it, counsel? Mr. Friedman said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, and on page 6, it looks like you've signed it above. I just want to make sure, is that your signature? What does it say without prejudice? The defendant, Don Russell, says, yes, that's my signature. So he did make the agreement. The judge says, but that's your signature above. He says, yes. The judge says, and that's on page 6, right? He says, it is. She says, okay, now, did you have the chance to discuss the agreement with your lawyer before you signed it? He said, yes. And did you have enough time to do all of that? He said, yes. The judge says, okay, and counsel, did you have enough time to go over the agreement with Mr. Russell? Mr. Friedman said, yes, I did, Your Honor. The judge says, and Mr. Russell, Any additional questions about the agreement? The defendant said no. The judge said, okay. And is this the entire understanding that you have with the government? What's contained in the agreement? He said, yes. The judge says, okay. Has anyone promised you something that's not in the agreement to get you to accept it? He said, no. But yet he's saying that his lawyer coerced him because his lawyer was going on vacation and he needed him to hurry up and make an agreement so that he could go on his vacation, his holiday. Now, at this proceeding, at this point in time, Don Russell had the opportunity to say what he needed to say about his ineffective counsel. Now was his time to say he had issues. Now was his time to say, I think I was coerced because my lawyer wanted to go on vacation. So he was trying to convince me to take the agreement, even though I really did not. Now was his time to say this, and he did it. Now the judge says, and has anybody threatened you or forced you to get you to accept the agreement? The defendant said, no, not at all. You're a bozo, Don. You're a bozo. Okay? Bozo. Then the judge says, counsel, did you convey all formal plea offers to Mr. Russell? Mr. Friedman said, yes, I did, Your Honor. The judge says, all right. The possible consequences in terms of sentence are laid out in the plea agreement. But I'm just going to ask the Assistant United States Attorney to put those on the record. Could you do that? Mishihata, the government's attorney, the state's attorney, says, sure. The maximum possible term of imprisonment is 5 years. There's no minimum term of imprisonment. Maximum supervised release term of 3 years to follow any term of imprisonment. And if the condition of release is violated, the defendant may be sentenced to up to 2 years without credit for pre-release imprisonment or time previously served on post-release supervision. Okay. So his sentence would have been 5 years because that's the maximum. There is no minimum. His charge requires him to do 5 years. Okay? And it also requires the supervised release of 3 years. And if the condition of release is violated, so if he violates his probation, the defendant may be sentenced up to 2 years without credit for pre-release imprisonment or time previously served on post-release supervision. So in other words, he would have to do his full time. Then it says there's a maximum fine of the greater of $250,000 or twice the gross gapper, twice the gross loss. Restitution is mandatory in the full amount of each victim's losses, as determined by the court, and there's a $100 special assessment. and any sentence imposed may run consecutively to the sentence imposed in Mr. Russell's other case pending in the Southern District of New York. So any sentence that was given to him may run consecutively, which means they could run back to back. So if he got 12 months here, 20 months there, you put them together, 12 plus 20, and that's what he has to do. Okay? So the judge says, and the trial is completed in that case. Is that right? That's right, Your Honor. So she's asking that the trial in the case in the Southern District of New York for the threat to the screening of Surviving R. Kelly. She's talking about that. So she asked if that case was done. And Ms. Shihata says, that's right, Your Honor. So the case was done and over with. He was convicted, right? Or was this before he got convicted? I don't remember. But more or less, the case was done at that point. So now she says, okay, first of all, let me just ask counsel, do you agree with these possible consequences of pleading guilty? Mr. Friedman said, yes, Your Honor. Then the judge says, and Mr. Russell, do you understand these possible consequences of pleading guilty? The defendant, Mr. Russell, said, yes. Now the judge says, okay, now I made reference before to the sentencing guidelines. These are advisory guidelines that judges consider in determining an appropriate sentence. They're not the only thing I consider. I also consider the particular facts of a case as well as the statutory factors in the 18 United States Code section 3553A to determine the sentence. Have you talked with your lawyer about how the sentencing guidelines might apply in your case? Mr. Russell said, yes, he's been over that with me. The judge says, I'm not going to know the advisory guideline range is until after I've had a chance to review the pre-sentence report. And in some circumstances, I have the authority to depart up or down from the advisory. So she could go high or she could go low, right? It's up to her and her discretion, regardless of the sentencing guidelines, right? But you can't go too low and you can't go too high. You have to go right somewhere in the middle, in between the guidelines. So, guideline range, and that could result in a sentence that is either longer or shorter than the advisory guideline range, which is what I was just pretty much saying. Hey, His Lordship, what's up, baby? Hey, Cookie. What's up, mama? Hey, Sin, how are you, baby? So she tells him, do you understand? Don says, yes. The judge says, there's also no parole in the federal system. So if you get sentenced to prison, you won't be released on parole. Do you understand that? And he said, yes. So the judge says, all right, Ms. Shihata, have you estimated what the guidelines range is likely to be? Ms. Shihata says, yes, Your Honor. Assuming the defendant pleads guilty today, the government estimates that his adjusted offense level will be 17, which carries a range of imprisonment of 24 to 30 months, assuming that the defendant falls within criminal history category 1. The judge says, all right, And counsel, do you agree with those general parameters, the guidelines? Mr. Friedman said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, all right. Now, I just want to make sure you understand, Mr. Russell, these estimates might be wrong. Do you understand that? And he said, yes. The judge says, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get a particular guideline range or sentence. Do you understand that? The defendant said, yes, Your Honor. And if the sentence that you get is different than what you expect, you're not going to be able to take your plea back. Do you understand? Listen to what she said right there. She said, and if the sentence that you get is different than what you expect, you're not going to be able to take your plea back. Do you understand? And he said, yes. But yet, he goes to file an appeal to vacate his sentencing. But here, the judge specifically said to this clown, this bozo, because he's a bozo at this point, and if the sentence that you get is different than what you expect, you're not going to be able to take your plea back. Do you understand? And Bozo the clown said yes. You tap dancing fool. Go sit your ass down somewhere and do your little 3 years, 2.5, whatever it is. Now the judge says, okay, now in some circumstances, you might have the right to appeal any sentence that I impose. Now, listen to what she said here now. She said, okay, now in some circumstances, you might, very important words, might, in some circumstances, have the right to appeal any sentence that I impose. But as part of your plea agreement, you've agreed not to file an appeal or challenge the conviction or sentence as long as I impose a sentence of 33 months or shorter. Do you understand? And he said, yes, I do. Now, the judge sentenced him to 20 months. So therefore, Donnell should not have come back on an appeal or challenged the conviction or sentence because she imposed less than 33 months. And he should have gotten anywhere between 24 and 33. And she gave him 20. And he said, she said, do you understand that? And he said, yes, I do. What a bozo. You tap dancing fool. Shame, shame on you. The judge says, all right. Do you have any questions about anything that we talked about so far? He says, no questions. The judge says, do you need any additional time to consult with your lawyer? He said, no, I do not. The judge says, okay, are you ready to plead guilty? He said, yes, I am. The judge says, and counsel, any reason why Mr. Russell should not plead guilty? Mr. Friedman says, no, Your Honor. The judge says, all right, Mr. Russell, are you pleading guilty voluntarily and of your own free will? I'm sorry. Are you okay? The defendant says, yes. The judge says, are you pleading guilty voluntarily and of your own free will? He says, yes, I am. The judge says, has anybody threatened or forced you to get you to plead guilty? He said, no, I have not. No. The judge says, other than the agreement that we just talked about, has anybody promised you anything to get you to plead guilty? He said, no. The judge said, has anybody promised that you're going to get a particular sentence? He said, no. The judge says, tell me what you did that makes you guilty of count 1 of the indictment. The defendant, Donnell Russell, says, to my understanding of, count 1. There was a PowerPoint presentation that was originally produced by attorney Brian Hicks, as well as my mom. So, as we know, this is what Donnell Russell's saying, that those PowerPoints that were presented in that letter that we read, well, the letter that those gentlemen, the lawless, Mr. what was his name? Mr. French, the YouTube guy we were just watching, talking about the letter, right? This is what he's talking about here, that letter, right? Now, he said that that document was made by his mother and Mr. Brian Nix, who was R. Kelly's attorney when he started out, okay, with Greenberg and everybody else. All right. He was the attorney that was on the case for Heather Williams. Okay. So he's stating here he's guilty of this. This is what happened. This is his story. This is Don telling the court what happened. So then he says, she was brought on board to read any documents to Mr. Kelly. So his mom was brought on board to read documents to R. Kelly. That's why he involved his mother. This is what he's stating, okay? That Don brought his mother aboard so that she can read the documents to R. Kelly. Then he states, I started working as a consultant to him in 2018. The gist of our agreement was he had lost a lot of money based on a song he put out. So the judge says, I'm just going to stop you for a minute. And I don't know if you want to take a minute, counsel, to speak to Mr. Russell about this. I'm not going to keep you from saying anything that you want to say. I just want to make sure we keep our eye on the ball. Let's take a second to speak to him. Counsel, Mr. Friedman says, yes, Your Honor. A brief pause in the proceedings was held. Then the judge comes back and says, okay, so I think I read the charge to you before. Just as a reminder, the charge is that between November of 2018 and February of 2020 here in the Eastern District and elsewhere that you used interstate commerce, whether it was the mail or a computer device, to do something that would cause distress to Jane Doe and to her family with the intent to harass and intimidate her and her family member. And my question to you is, what is it that you actually did that makes you guilty of that? And now Don says, for the record, so what I did was there was a PowerPoint presentation that was sent out. And I got access to the PowerPoint presentation after the original lawsuit was dropped. I edited the PowerPoint presentation and I engaged in conversations with Lifetime. I emailed it to Lifetime. Now, Judge Donnelly says, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I understand. When you said the lawsuit was dropped, was that a lawsuit that Jane Doe and then the defendant, Russell, interrupted her and he said, I'm sorry. The judge says, that's okay. You said there was a PowerPoint presentation. What was the PowerPoint presentation? And then he says, so the PowerPoint presentation was a document that investigators, along with my mom and several others, supporters, or people that Mr. Kelly brought together to explain his side of the relationship between the accusers. Judge Donnelly says, and with their photographs of Jane Doe in this PowerPoint presentation? He says, yeah, he gave them photographs that were provided by Mr. Kelly. He provided us with text messages that were between him and the accusers. And that was all a part of what was put into the PowerPoint presentation. The judge says, and I take it some of the things would have been very embarrassing to Jane Doe and to her family and to her family members. Is that right? And he said, so there's two parts to that. Yes. The judge said, okay. Now, Don Russell says, when I originally read it, I didn't like the content of it, which is why the government saw that I actually changed some of that. The judge says, I see. Now, Don continues to say, there was a phone call that took place between me and Jane Doe's mom. She called me and I said something that was probably intimidating back to her. And then I sent over the documents stating that this is the PowerPoint presentation that we had access to. So that did take place. The judge says, and so am I correct that you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure that is right, but is it correct that the PowerPoint presentation had embarrassing photographs of Jane Doe? The defendant says, I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody. I didn't think that they were embarrassing. they didn't show any private parts. The judge says, was there a threat that there was going to be more embarrassing photographs released if she persisted in doing whatever she was doing? The defendant says, we didn't have anything else. But the part that was intimidating that I do feel was the engagement between me and her mom. Her mom called, said some choice words to me, and I said some back to her. The judge says, what specifically did you say? Don says, well, I don't want to go on the record saying anything incorrectly, but she said a few things, and I said, that's not the words that I thought should have been coming from a church woman, because she was the first lady of a church. And I said, you really need to pay attention to who you're dealing and who you're calling with that stuff. And I said it in a demanding tone. You're calling, so that tone that I took was more of probably what was intimidating versus the words. But it's like I could say certain things on a basketball court that could be, but say something to somebody in person, they could mean something totally different. The judge says, I see. Then Don says, I intended to be intimidating with my tone that I took back from her calling me, and that's where I think I stepped over. That's why I stepped over the line. The judge says, is it also the case, and maybe the government has some questions that the government wants to put, but is it also the case that there was Jane Doe, that you led Jane Doe and her mother to believe that if she persisted in, I don't know if it's a lawsuit, or persisted in doing what she was doing, that you were going to release more embarrassing things to either Lifetime or to somebody? Lifetime or to anybody. Mr. Russell said, yeah. So that it wasn't more, but I didn't have anything more. But continue our path of putting the evidence out to, as we looked at it, balance the accusations. But you're right, it was not appropriate. And, that's it. And then the judge says, okay, Ms. Shihata, are there additional questions that you would like to put to Mr. Russell? Ms. Shihata said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, go ahead. Ms. Shihata says, in November of 2018, did you, together with your mother, cause a mailing to be sent to Jane Doe's lawyer in Brooklyn, New York? Don Russell said, I didn't do that. Brian Nixon and my mom did that. And Rob signed it. Ms. Shihata says, were you aware that that mailing had been made? Mr. Russell said, I was made aware of it, yes. They were all working under my company, so certain things come to me. Everything eventually comes to me, yes. The judge said, you did part of that, and you authorized it, in other words, because it was your company? He said, I didn't authorize it, but once I found out it took place, I didn't retract it. I didn't try to go against it. The judge says, I see. Ms. Shihata says, in fact, then did you use the same pictures that were attached to the mailing to then send threatening text messages to Jane Doe and Jane Doe's mother in December of 2018 and January of 2019? Don says, you mean the text messages that I sent? Please. And I'll agree to them. I want to make sure we're talking about the same text messages. The judge says, counsel, do you want to take a minute to talk to Mr. Russell? Do you have the particular text? Ms. Shihata says, I can read them, Your Honor. The judge says, Ms. Shihata, we'll do it. Ms. Shihata said, on December 21st of 2018, did you send a text message to Jane Doe and her mother saying, sending a PowerPoint presentation and indicating, just a sample, we will be seeking criminal charges. You've been warned. The defendant, Don Russell, said yes. Then Ms. Shihata said, and did you also send text messages after Jane Doe's mother replied saying, who sent this? Saying criminal charges to follow and sending additional images. The defendant said yes. The judge said, and did you also send text messages saying publishing soon? Don Russell said yes. Now, Ms. Shihata says, and claiming when asked who you were, that your name was Kalan, the defendant says Colin was an investigator, but he did not send that. I did. And I did say that I was him because he wasn't paid to finish his job. So I said yes, and I did send them. So Ms. Shihata says, and saying my investigation will be done soon enough. The defendant said, absolutely, I said that. Ms. Shihata said, did you also send a text message to Jane Doe and her mother on January 3rd, 2019, saying, pull the plug or you will be exposed? He said, yes, I did. Ms. Shihata said, and among the images that you sent to Jane Doe and her mother in these text exchanges, did those include photographs of Jane Doe, which showed portions of her exposed breast and buttocks? Don Russell says, no, I believe what I sent was cropped. Can I see the picture? Can I see the picture of it? Ms. Shihata says, yes, I'll show you the picture. Cropped, but showing some of her exposed breast and buttocks. The defendant says, yes, I can see it. I just want to make sure that's what I sent. And then he says, yes, this is what I sent. Now, the government's attorney says, included in those attachments where you sent those photographs, did you also include language that indicated the next two pictures have been cropped for the sake of not exposing her extremities to the world yet? The defendant said, my mom sent that, but I wasn't, and I didn't retract too. Ms. Shihata says, it was in that text message that you yourself sent to Jane Doe and her mother, correct? The defendant said, yeah, right. Ms. Shihata says, and did you also create a Facebook page called Surviving Lies? He said, yes, I did. And did you also publish photographs of Jane Doe, similar photographs of Jane Doe on that website? He said, yes. Then Ms. Shihata says, and that was after Jane Doe did not withdraw her lawsuit against Robert Kelly. And he said, the lawsuit against Robert was which lawsuit? You see what he said? You're a whole bozo trying to gaslight the judge like you're an idiot. I don't know what happened. I'm a slow tap dancing fool. Okay? Like, come on, man. You sound stupid. Then Ms. Shihata says the lawsuit still exists, sir. She said the lawsuit still exists, sir. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Then Don says, I thought it was reported that was dropped. Then he says, but you're right. Yes, I did. Ms. Shihata says, and did you also then in January of 2020 appear on 2 YouTube interviews that were live streamed on YouTube where you showed the letter that was sent to Jane Doe's lawyer in Brooklyn, New York? You stated, we sent this, and also showed the photographs, the same photographs of Jane Doe by holding them up to the camera. He said, yes. Ms. Shihata said, and did you engage in this course of conduct with the intent to harass and intimidate Jane Doe and immediate family member of Jane Doe? He said, yes. And would this course of conduct cause a reasonable person substantial emotional stress? He said, are you asking me? She said, yes. He said, apparently it did. I didn't know that it did, but apparently it did. So I agree that it did. Ms. Shihata says, and the government would prove that it did in this case as well, Your Honor. So with that, we're satisfied with the allocution. The judge says, all right, based on my observations of Mr. Russell and his answers to questions and the representations of his lawyer, I find that he is fully competent and capable of entering an informed plea, that he is aware of the nature of the charges and the consequences of pleading guilty, that his plea is knowing and voluntarily, and that there is an independent factual basis to support the plea that includes the essential elements of the offense. I, therefore, accept his plea of guilty to the only count of the indictment. Now, Mr. Russell, I think I mentioned before that the probation department is going to prepare a pre-sentence report. That'll assist me in sentencing, and you're going to be asked to give information for that report. And I'm sure your lawyer wishes to be present for that interview. Am I right about that, counsel? Mr. Friedman says, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, you're going to have the opportunity with your lawyer to go over the pre-sentence report and to file any objections that you might have 2 before the sentencing proceeding. And let me just check with my courtroom deputy about a date for sentence. So the deputy says November 23rd. Mr. Freeman, Don's lawyer, says, Your Honor, we have a sentencing before Judge Gaddafi on November 21st. And I've spoken with the prosecutors in each office, and I think we all generally agree that it might make sense procedurally to have the sentence in this court first. So if it's possible to do a date the week of November 14th, that would be our request. And Mr. Russell and I are both traveling from out of town. So by any chance later in that week is a possibility, we'd greatly appreciate it. The judge says, okay. The courtroom deputy says, the 17th. Mr. Friedman said, that's great. The judge said, what time? Mr. Friedman said, thank you. The court deputy said, 11 a.m. The judge says, does that work for everybody? Ms. Shihata said, yes, Your Honor. The judge says, okay, all right. So same conditions apply because Mr. Russell is released. I just want to advise you that if you didn't show up for sentencing or if you violated any conditions of your release, it could subject you to be additional penalties. I'm not concerned this is going to happen. I want to make sure you're aware. And he says, yes. The judge says, anything else that we need to do today? Ms. Shihata said, no, Your Honor. The court said, all right. Anything from the defense? Mr. Friedman says, no, Your Honor. Thank you. And now the judge says, all right, everybody, thank you so much. Ms. Shihata says, thank you. Mr. Friedman says, thank you. And she says, this matter is adjourned. So that is what happened in his plea deal, his sentencing. I'm sorry, no. His plea court hearing. Okay. So let's stop it there. Hey, Levi. What's up, Papi? Miss Rogers, Mama says, lies, all lies, never happened. And I'm still the first lady. This is funny to me. It is, Miss Rogers. Like this bozo. I care. Levi, I'm after Don Russell. Don the con. He's a goddamn con. I never trusted him from the moment he stepped on the scene. I'm not for R. Kelly, but I already knew he wasn't for R. Kelly. Okay. He was looking out for himself. That's what he was doing. Trying to make money with R. Kelly on the slide. Like, listen, R. Kelly, I'm going to help you get money. But I need money too. So he finagled R. Kelly, you know, because R. Kelly don't know no better because he likes to take information from cockroaches and shit. You have a question for me, puppy? What's your question? You want me to drop the thing and the thing? You want me to drop the thing and the thing for you, Levi? All right, I'm going to give you some time, Levi. Don't kill me with your winded lungs, okay? I dropped the thing and the thing for you, boo. So, Mr. Bozo, the clown, the tap dancing clown, fool, whatever you want to call him, tarant, because that's what he is to me, a fucking tarant, another tarant. You got a bunch of fucking tarants running around here. Don, this is for you, Don. Don. Let me take my banner off of here. My brand. Hold on. My watermark. Okay. All right, Levi. I'm gonna give you the floor, to ask whatever, and then after that, I'm gonna pretty much close out with the rest of the video that we were watching by Lawless. What was the name of their group again? Lawless. Where's their? Okay, wait. Lawless. What is the name of it again? I'm sorry. The name of the video is. It says, "Is R. Kelly a sovereign citizen?" And we were watching this, and the name of the channel is Lawful Masses with Leonard French. I'm gonna throw the link in the chat again. Okay, please make sure you guys go and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, leave a comment in the video. Okay, that is very much appreciated. Levi!
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, sir?
Oh, just fine. I'm making some chicken Alfredo, and I just put the pepper in there, so I may sneeze. So just so you know, I put the pepper in there, and I started sneezing.
Okay, that sounds good. I made some chicken cutlet cubes, and I put it in some gravy and spiced up the gravy and put it on some spaghetti pasta. That's what we had for dinner.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I had a question for. I've been wanting to ask you this question.
Yes.
When you consider what Don Russell was accused and then convicted of,
Mm-hmm.
which I just read how he admitted to these things.
Right.
What you tell me, if the government, in its desire to protect, I say alleged witnesses and accusers, I still say that for my own reasons. Like if you read Ms. Bonjean's writing, she still referred to them as alleged victims because
Right,
I'm looking
or accusers,
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. I'm looking at it from a legal perspective. Now, my question to you is very simple.
Yes.
It's very simple. Don Russell's one man. He was scrutinized, investigated, then charged, and then convicted with what he did. Please tell me, after 4.5, 5 years, however long, of what we observed in the R. Kelly YouTube arena or environment, I don't say sector, please tell me how many other people did we witness could commit the exact same crimes of witness intimidation, harassment, every unspeakable crime when it comes to federal witnesses, which I know, I'm going to say this, then I want you to answer the question. I, being very knowledgeable of the law, I know that it is they are a protected group. In any case, whenever you have witnesses, especially federal witnesses, that is a protected group. So when you have individuals who we saw dedicate their YouTube channels to constant 24-hour harassment of my cousins, alleged victims and accusers, to the point where it spilled over from intimidation to harassment, where they were, in fact, contacting Miss Rogers and her family and threatening to come up to the church, and they probably contacted the church. They were, in fact, going online, telling people if Jane Doe number 5 had an event, They would go on social media. These are groups of individuals led by the lead terrorist, excuse me, and they would say, contact this place where Jane Doe number 5 is supposed to appear, and tell them this and tell them that. They were attacking the alleged victims and accusers of my cousin and their families 24/7, such to the extent where one of them flew from Houston to Chicago and went up to Javante Cunningham's job. The same individual went inside of the federal court filming, looking for Jane Doe number 5. So I want you to ponder that and answer it honestly. Tell me, what did Don Russell do that was any different from what they did, and then I'll give you my response.
Well, there was a lot of intimidating federal witnesses, accusers in this case. Yes. And it was from certain particular bloggers. DJ Tyson, Sharon Winbush, Dabowski Gunn, and every once in a blue moon, Sylvia, Dana J, Spittin' Fire, Prima Donna, all of them, those in particular, terrorists out here, were actually harassing the witnesses, the accusers, the victims, the survivors. Okay? And yes, every single thing they did is the same kind of charges for interstate stalking.
Thank you.
They should all have been sued, tried, arrested. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, if the prosecutors really knew what was going on, I think they probably would have attached all that shit to your cousin in the RICO. But luckily enough, this is just YouTube. And luckily enough, they didn't attach all this bullshit to your cousin. And all those people who did those harassings, I've done reported a lot of those videos, and a lot of them were taken down by me. So, yeah, they should all have some type of consequences like Don Russell.
Okay. Now let me explain this to you. I'm a very detailed person. I am, and I don't name names.
I don't give a fuck. I'm letting you know who they are.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they're all guilty. Every single last one of them.
That's
and
cool.
Tell me I'm lying.
I respect that, but I just choose not to name names. But let me say this to you. And I came on to enlighten people to this fact.
Please do, because people are distorted.
For one, I openly admonished those individuals and explained to them early on, these are federal cases. And in my experience with the courts and with the law, I understand that I understand the inner sanctimony and how sacred federal witnesses are, federal accusers are. The ignorant ones, which the majority are ignorant, they accuse me of basically being for the alleged victims, and I'm with y'all, and this, that, and the third. No. I made it clear. If my cousin was to have a fair trial, if my cousin is being held with no bond, offering the prosecution offering to the court their reason why he should not receive bond. See, Miss Diva, I get emotional about this because I need for you to understand that my prayers at that time was for my cousin to receive bond so that I could sit with him and instruct him and advise him, and he would have been able to sit with his attorneys so I could correct even what some of his attorneys were doing and explain to him, look, bro, this is how, had he been at home, it would have been a different outcome because he would have been able to access records. He would have been able to recollect and he would have been free. He would have been able to fight these people with his hands in front of him. But whenever a person is denied bond, they're made to fight with their hands behind their back. So I, understanding the law, I knew that what they were doing was actually causing him or giving the government the excuse and the legal justification, if you will, to deny him bond, because you, on one end, you have a defendant where the courts and the prosecutors are saying, no, if we let you out, you're going to reach out to the alleged victims and accusers and their families. You're going to, right? But here you have some people doing just that. So let's be clear.
Right, now, remember Levi, in one of the motions for the bond hearing, right? In one of the motions, the government had specifically stated that there were terrorists out here, not in those words, I'm just paraphrasing. I'm using your words because basically that's more or less what the government was stating without stating. That there are a terrorist network of R. Kelly supporters out here harassing victims as well as trying to collect money to free R. Kelly. So that's why, that was one of the biggest reasons why he didn't get a bond. And it was also another reason why he had a partial sequestered jury.
Well, an anonymous jury.
Yeah, an anonymous sequestered, a partial anonymous sequestered jury, right?
Partially sequestered, 100% anonymous.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So now nobody knew who they were. Nobody could see them, all that. Boom. And that part was because also of the fact that, remember, in 2006, R. Kelly, according to Richard Arline, which was the John Doe #1 in the case, had stated that he went and intimidated one of the jurors on the 2008 trial. So that was also another reason why they didn't give him bond. It wasn't just about the people out on social media doing their thing and terrorizing the victims. It also had to do with what happened prior to 2008.
Now stop right there, Diva. Listen to me very closely. Very closely. What's up, grown man? Grown man's up in here. Listen.
Hey, Poppy, what's up, baby? If you want to jump in, the link is in the chat.
I need for you to understand this, Diva. When we're dealing with the law, what you said was Richard Arline alleged there were allegations that he had engaged in intimidating a juror or something like that. Right. What you must understand when you're dealing with the feds, they dot every I, they cross every T. They would have gone back if they had substantial reason and justification and charged him with that. So, but that's cool. I ain't tripping. Listen to me. Accusations and allegations are just that. So that one accusation, yes, was in place. However, what they said in that April 17th, I think 2019 response to a motion, what the prosecutor said to the court, I have it right in my files, was that there is a group of social media of individuals on social media, a network of individuals who are attempting to engage in witness intimidation, harassment of the victims and their families who are in fact doing, I want you to listen to my words, doing the bidding of the defendant. Basically, they said to the court that my cousin, that they were doing this at his instructions. Listen, bro.
No, they did not, Levi. No, they did not, Papi. Because if that was the case, they would have charged those people, and they didn't.
Let me read it to you, darling.
Go ahead.
Let me see one thing about me and Larry. Let me tell you something about me and Larry. We do this for real.
I do it for real too.
You bad, man.
Don't discredit my work, nigga.
You bad.
I do my thing too, all right, bro. Okay, that's why I'm your favorite blogger. Stop it.
Believe that. You bad. But here's the luxury that Larry and I have over you and other people.
You guys are going over this shit over and over and over again.
All day, every day. All day, every day. You feel me?
You can remember all the lines. More power to you, bro, because there's a lot of shit. I mean, I remember some, but I can only paraphrase because I don't remember word for word.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm sitting in front of my computer right now, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim.
Okay. Okay, Papi.
Okay.
The woman said he's working, but he's listening.
It says that it is also, this is what it reads. It is also disingenuous for the defendant to suggest that he has no means to go anywhere. He continues to have a significant network of individuals available to assist him. Let me say it to you again, Miss Diva.
Yes, Levi, you're right. Mm-hmm.
He continues to have a significant network of individuals available to assist him. Indeed, they wrote. Indeed, many of those individuals attempt to do the defendant's bidding by regularly posting and appearing in videos on the internet and publishing on social media in support of the defendant, and overtly, these are words now, overtly trying to intimidate the defendant's accusers.
Okay,
now,
pause for a second. Let me say something, Levi. Now, what they're indicating right there has to do with Don Russell.
No way, baby girl, because it had not done. This was
because remember,
sweetheart.
Don Russell. Wait, Levi. Don Russell, as we just read, was going on YouTube tours discussing the case. That's why they said he has people doing his bidding, meaning towards Don, and the fact that he has a social network of fans that are willing to help him.
Okay, I'm going to try this again.
They added both in there.
I'm going to try this again. This was April 17th, 2020. Okay? Okay, let's try this again.
That happened in 20. Mm-hmm.
It is also disingenuous for the defendant to suggest that he has no means to go anywhere. He, the defendant they're referring to, continues to have, not Don Russell, but he, talking about the defendant, continues to have a significant network of, listen to me, individuals. They're not talking about Don Russell. Listen, available.
But they're adding him in there. It's not just
sweetheart. Listen, baby girl, we've been here. Listen, we've been observing all of this. Yes, what Don Russell was doing was just a drop in the bucket to what these people were doing. Don Russell wasn't nobody paying attention to all that crazy Facebook stuff and all that crap.
Well, I mean, they took it down.
I understand, but check this out. A significant network of individuals. Words are very important, which means network means what? Network means these individuals are part of a net. They're connected.
Right.
Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. Of individuals available to assist him. Indeed, many of those individuals attempt to do the defendant's bidding by regularly posting and appearing in videos on the internet and publishing on social media in support of the defendant, and check it out, overtly, words are important, overtly trying to intimidate the defendant's accusers. Now, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Is attempted federal witness intimidation a crime, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. So, so they're admitting right here that they got these individuals committing crimes.
Right, that they're alleging that they're committing crimes, right?
Absolutely, but no. They're alleging it, but I, being one of the reporters, me, as Robert's cousin, being one of the supporters, I came on social media and I explained to each and every one of them, what y'all doing, you got to stop doing. When they kept doing it, this is when I engaged or embarked upon a mission to detail each and every one of them, dates, times, everything that they were doing as I was speaking with Robert.
Right. That's when you started labeling them terrorists. Yes,
that's correct. That's correct.
I've been here. I've been watching.
Okay. So this is what I need for you and Miss Rogers to understand. Robert being in there didn't know. But I kept telling him. And at one point, he was very upset and he said, what can I do? And I said, you know what? I got it. That's what I started to construct my report. Now, listen, after Mr. Rogers, during the victim impact statement, stood in court and explained to Robert what he and his family had gone through. That was the first time Robert understood that Levi was like, damn, I didn't know all this was going on. Listen. That next day, or the day after, he called me and said, you're right. I didn't know all this was going on. Okay, check this out. What I want you to understand, Ms. Diva, I want everyone to understand is that after this was stated in court, what we just read, Robert's attorneys, two of them, filed a response to this particular motion and said to the courts, it is not right that the court would have the audacity, that the prosecutors would have the audacity to come on and say that these people on social media are acting for Robert. And their response, Mr. Greenberg and I think Mr. Leonard, said it would be equally not right to say that they didn't say the name, but you all, those who advocate for the alleged victims, that the alleged victims are asking or directing them to advocate for them the same way Robert is not asking these terrorists or instructing them to do what they're doing. But check this out. Listen to me, Diva. They said, we demand that the court respond to us and explain to the court how Robert is connected to these people.
Right.
The prosecutors were so shrewd and intelligent and ultra intelligent. The prosecutors played their hand perfectly. Right. The prosecutors let it go. Even though the prosecutors had 1,000% proof, Diva,
right,
that Robert was connected to them. Listen to me. How was Robert connected to them unknowingly? He was connected to them through his attorneys. His attorneys had formed relationships with 80% of them, showing up on their channels. You saw it.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Okay, right. So check this out. So the prosecutors were so perfectly shrewd that what they did was say, just let it go. We ain't going to respond to it. I'm saying to you, Sister Diva, if the prosecutors had done their job and if the federal authorities had done their job, just like Don Russell was charged, every single one of them bastards and their followers, keep in mind that there was a bomb threat called into the MCC during one of the protests.
Right. Well, not really that there was a bomb threat, but it was that they were going to blow up. Right. That they were going to blow up the.
It was a bomb threat.
Right. If they didn't let him out, that's what it was. You're right.
Okay. So if a bomb threat was called into the MCC and Don Russell called in a gun threat, how the hell you gonna lock him up, but the people who called the goddamn bomb threat in, you ain't locking them up? Listen to me.
Law is strange, I tell you.
That's right. That's right. So check this out, Sister Diva. These people are so advanced, just like with the FBG Doug murders, wherever that threat was called from, they have the capability to know where the call came from, and when the person walked out the goddamn house or away from the payphone or drove off, they had it all. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that had they responded, the government responded and said, oh yeah, we got 1,000% proof that R. Kelly's connected to these people, because his attorneys meet with them in secret, speak with them in secret, go on their YouTube channels. His attorneys have formed relationships with these people. The judge, Miss Ann Donnelly, would have said, hold up. Are you trying to tell me that these people who are out here calling these young ladies dog-head bitches, putting their pictures up with their heads cut off? I have it. That animal in Bolingbrook put a picture of Jane Doe number 5 with her head cut off.
I know.
Are you trying to tell me that his attorneys, Attorney Douglas Antime went on his channel? Attorney Douglas Antime went on that animal's channel in Bolingbrook. Judge Ann Donnelly, Miss Diva, would have had no choice but to dismiss that case, reprimand those attorneys, and start from scratch. So what I'm trying to get you to see is that they went, I'm telling you, I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what one of the most highest prominent attorneys in the whole nation told me. He said this couldn't be true. His attorneys are dealing with these people. I said, yeah. He said, well, she's supposed to dismiss the case, and you got to dismiss it and start over. So I just wanted to bring that out to you and put that on your mind. Why was Don Russell charged and they were not charged? The reason why the prosecutors didn't charge them is because they would have had to show the connection, which were his attorneys. And as a result of that, their case would have went down the toilet stool. However, they would have refiled the cases, but he would have had to have another legal team. Those who were in touch with these people would have had to go. They would have been reprimanded, perhaps even sanctioned by the court, and maybe even lost their goddamn law licenses, man. People come on YouTube, certain people come on here and try to downplay this stuff, man. I know what I'm talking about. You cannot, as an attorney, form relationships with people who are sitting up threatening and calling the alleged victims of your client doghead bitches and calling in bomb threats and crossing the goddamn barriers at the MCC, which caused them to lock down the MCC. And as a result of that, Robert almost gets stabbed to death, and they're on lockdown because of you feel me? So that's all I'm saying. I had to bring that up to you, and I wanted you to understand why they did not, at this point, at this juncture, pursue charges against them bastards. But I tell you this, by God's grace, will, and mercy, I'm not going to say if. Once Robert is granted a new trial in New York, they're going to be so upset, the prosecution, the government, that they're going to clean house. Watch and see. They're going to be so upset. Once he's granted a new trial in New York, they're going to come back and they're going to start, okay, we starting from scratch. And all of them bastards are going to be charged. Watch and see. Miss Diva, you know it and I know it. If these same animals had been attacking the white female witnesses in the Harvey Weinstein case or the Jeff Epstein cases, you know they would have arrested them.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because the Harvey Weinstein case and the Jeffrey Epstein case, there were a lot of people harassing and stalking these victims. So
okay.
That's
okay. Yeah. Listen, I do this for real. Listen to me. To send out a tweet, to go on your channel, to say some disparaging things about the women in the Harvey Weinstein or Jeff Epstein cases, is one thing. But to dedicate your entire channel to intimidating, harassing, coercing, doing whatever you can do to federal witnesses, it's a different ball game. It is incumbent upon the federal authorities to come get you the same way that that Fannie Willis woman, when channels started to pop up and they started attacking the witnesses in the Young Thug case, the GBA or the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, she sent out the damn marshals and the sheriffs to go pick those people up. And if you Google it, they were charged with that. And she made it clear, oh, hell no. There will be no harassing and intimidation and doxing. Don't forget about doxing. Don't forget about doxing, Miss Rogers.
They do a lot of that. They do a lot of that.
Miss Rogers, don't forget about doxing, Miss Rogers. They knew where all of y'all lived, where you worked, your churches. They knew everything about you through doxing.
That's correct.
So in Chicago, in Georgia, people went to jail for that. And guess what? There was no more threatening or harassing the witnesses in the Young Thug case because they jumped on top of it. That prosecutor put an end to that shit quick, and Young Thug's attorney stepped outside on the courthouse steps and said, listen, what y'all are doing as overzealous fans of Thug, of Jeffrey, you're really causing him a hard time. What you're doing is jury tampering. He was explaining to them, don't do that. Let the process play out. But they let these people run shot over all of this shit. Listen, I'm the reporter. Niggas talking about who is individual this and individual that. Nigga, what? I came out years ago and said, nigga, I'm reporting all you bitches. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. I said it and I meant it. And I still mean it. That man had to sit there with an anonymous sequestered jury. He had to sit there and listen to Mr. Rogers, rightfully so, explain to him what his family had gone through. The government sat on its hands, Miss Rogers, and I'm going to say this on here to you. They sat and didn't give a damn about what y'all were going through because you're black. They didn't give a damn about these people calling your daughter whores and bitches and she's a hoe and she got this disease and the constant harassment because she's a black African-American young lady. Had that been one of the victims in the Harvey Weinstein or Jeff Epstein cases, they would have picked their asses up and charged them and that would have been that. So I'm going to say this openly, because I'm a man who believes, I'm a purist when it comes to the law. I believe in justice. To Miss Rogers or any Miss Cunningham, if you ever want to considering suing the government for allowing these terrorists to do what they did, contact me and I'll give you every goddamn email. I'll give you every account of me telling these people what these bastards were doing.
Listen, Javante could have had that nigga handled on sight, okay? But she chose not to, okay? She chose not to do street justice or any justice. But she did let it be known that it did go down. But the government's hands are tied. In certain things, they can't always make connections. What? You have to remember that when they're going to make a case, they have to make sure that it's a solid case.
Oh my God, sweetheart.
You got to understand me, but it has to all go with everything.
Listen, how more solid can you be?
It is. To us, we see it. To us, we see it.
How more solid?
The law, it's not going to... how do you call it? It's not going to make a case according to them.
Okay, so
you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so how was Don Russell convicted? How was Don Russell charged?
Huh?
How was Don Russell charged then?
because he actually made a threat to the theater.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Hold on. And then the parents of Mrs. Rogers and Mr. Rogers and the young lady went and decided to take action against Don Russell. That's the parents and her who did that, not the government. The government charged them for it because he's part of the R. Kelly case. So they had to make it all connected. Yes, what's happening out here on YouTube, yes, there was intimidation and harassment going on, but there's no connection really to R. Kelly the way they know Don Russell has the connection.
You remind
me the people out here in the streets.
You remind me of my ex-girlfriend.
About that.
You remind me.
What they care about is connecting the dots to the actual case. You know what I mean?
You
remind. They probably didn't even want to start nothing because they probably didn't have enough elements to the case. You know what I'm saying?
You remind me of my ex-girlfriend. I could sit for an hour and a half and explain something to her, and she'll go right back to her premise and disagree. Listen to me.
Levi, I'm not disagreeing with you, Levi. I'm just saying that according to the law, there's probably nothing that they really were able to do to connect it to what they wanted to. So they left it alone. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to explain what I'm trying to say, right? But they didn't put the connection together.
Hey, Diva, one day I packed my shit. You know what I said? One day I got up in the morning and packed my shit. Got the fuck on. I said, I can't tell this woman nothing. Listen to me.
You're damn right. I'm a fucking Pisces. Tell me again.
When you look at the elements and the requirements to charge Don Russell, he met all of those elements and requirements. When you look at the elements and requirements to charge these goddamn terrorists, they met all of the elements and requirements simply because the same alleged victims and their families were contacting the government, telling them.
You know, maybe if all the parents and the survivors probably got together and made like a civil suit or a criminal suit together, like a class action kind of a suit or something like that, maybe then they probably would have charged them. You know what I mean? Like if it was a group thing, because sometimes my thing is with R. Kelly, right? They attempted to do what they did in 2008 and it only led to one girl, right? So it was very hard to prove this, that, and the third. So he got acquitted. Now here we are. Times have changed, laws have changed, and they decided to get a group of people together to take R. Kelly down because remember, it's stronger in numbers, Levi. So maybe if everybody got together who was being harassed, all the victims, then maybe the prosecutors or the federal agents would have done something, maybe. You know what I mean?
Let me say this to you, Ms. Diva. Let me ask you a question, but this is what I'm saying. With all due respect, y'all have, not you, but let me say this. What everyone must stop doing is disagreeing with a person just to disagree, or listen to me, or trying to find something in a person's statement,
hey Peter,
to condemn that person simply because you don't like that person. Listen to me.
I'm not doing that. Hold up, Levi. Stop. Levi. Stop. No, Levi. No, not for me. Maybe somebody else, but not me, Papito. That doesn't happen.
You didn't hear me say.
I don't.
You did not hear me say not you.
No, okay, go ahead.
See, just like my ex-girlfriend. I said not you, didn't I?
Okay. All right, Levi. All right.
Listen.
All right.
Miss Fugel stated, Levi, you stated a few minutes ago that RSK had no idea of what was going on to the Rogers until the father said something during the impact statement. But you spoke to RSK several times a week and didn't tell him. If you listen to what I said, Miss Fugel, You see what I'm saying? When a person don't do that, be honest in your critique. Listen, what I said was, I told him broadly what all of these goddamn terrorists were doing. I said he did not confirm it because he's in there. He's not out here. He did not understand the importance and the magnitude of it until Mr. Rogers gave his impact statement. That's when he called me and said, now I see what you were saying, okay? To Ms. Diva, it did not take a class action lawsuit for them to charge Don Russell. It did not take a collective. We live in a country, Ms. Diva.
No, it didn't take a collective because it was attached to R. Kelly already instantly. Remember, they actually charged Don Russell before they charged R. Kelly. Remember that.
R. Kelly was never charged in Don Russell's crimes.
No, he wasn't, but he was a part of it, and that's another reason why they made a racketeering act.
Okay,
remember, Don Russell's stuff came out in 2018.
Sweetheart, I'm going to say it to you again. What Don Russell is in prison for right now, what Don Russell was accused of doing, tried and convicted for, or pled guilty to, had no legal bearing on my cousin. That's a fact. Because if that were so, they would have superseded Robert's indictment and put Don Russell in there as an operative of his. Let's deal with the truth, Diva. Let's deal with the truth. Let's deal with it. He had nothing.
He was one of those managers, entourage people that were part of his group.
Why did they not, instead of charging Don Russell, just supersede Rob's indictment, bring Don Russell in there and have him sit next to him as a defendant?
They charged them separately because of his separate crimes.
Thank you, dear. Okay, so if these were separate crimes, like I just said to you.
Yeah, but they're connected because allegedly Don Russell said, I'm R. Kelly's manager. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Sweetheart, listen to me very closely. People don't care about what you say. During their investigation, had they found anything that even remotely suggested that Don Russell was acting on the behalf of Robert, they would have superseded Robert's indictment. They thoroughly investigated Don Russell. What I'm saying to you, Don Russell saying he was his manager, right. If that was suitable enough and justified them charging him or whatever, I'm telling you that the conduit, the medium, the go-between, what these bastards were doing in intimidating and attacking the witnesses 24/7, the conduit, the middle person were Robert's attorneys, okay? And they knew it, but had they presented that to Judge Ann Donnelly and charged these goddamn terrorists, she would have had no choice but to say, well, this is it. I have to start over, because what are attorneys doing sitting with these people, knowing that these people are engaged in this type of witness intimidation and harassment? That's just common sense. And that's all. I'm about to let you go. I got to eat. But, excuse me, I just wanted to make you aware of that. And I wanted you to offer your agreement or disagreement in the fact that Don Russell, in his crimes that he's been convicted for, did not do no more than what these terrorists were doing in the way of constant harassment, 24/7, the name calling, then reaching out to the people and their damn parents, reaching to their business interests, showing up at the goddamn court and going to Javante Cunningham's job. That's all I wanted to point out, darling, okay?
Yeah, I agree with that. They should have all been charged. I fucking agree with that. I agree with that, Levi. I'm not disagreeing with you. But the law is the law, and they work funny.
When it suits
that. They work funny, bro.
Yeah, when it suits them, they work funny. Listen, when it suits them, see, this is why they did not charge Jane Doe number 5's parents, because it wouldn't have suited them to follow the law, follow protocol properly, and say, wait a minute, what we're looking at is that y'all sent y'all daughter off across state lines, which is a federal felony. What we're looking at is that from what we're looking at, You all sex traffic your daughter across state lines when she asked you at the Dolphin Hotel, he wants to know, can I leave with him? And you said, no, we are not strict. As you both were standing downstairs in the parking lot or sitting at that Dolphin Hotel, the response.
Only if, Levi, there was a problem, only if there was a rule to the law to where the parents consent. Other than that, parents cannot consent. It doesn't matter if they took her to R. Kelly with a bow tie, butt ass naked. Unless there was some money exchange, that shit does not matter, Levi.
Can I respond, please? Listen to me. I have daughters. I presume you have daughters. You and I, or anyone else listening to me, if we were to take our minor 17-year-old child to a hotel with a grown man, and an hour and 45 minutes after that minor child was in that room with that grown man, she texts her daddy, Levi, or she texts her mama, Diva, and said, oh, by the way, he wants to know, can I travel with him? Can I leave town with him? And we responded, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we responded, yes, after telling the child to sit on his lap, entice him. Right. We, Levi, myself as a father, and you, Diva, as a mother, would be charged for sex trafficking your daughter across state lines. End of story. There's nothing else.
No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't.
Try it.
No, we wouldn't, unless we knew that she was going to have sex with this man, because we told her, you have to have sex with this man or else. The parents didn't do that. The parents did not do that. Or the parents did not say, well, you better go in there and fuck him and make sure you get that $20,000 right now. Then that's sex trafficking.
May I respond?
All that other shit is not trafficking.
Oh,
the parents cannot consent, Levi. What don't you get about that shit, bro?
You're trying to mix arguments. For one,
no, I'm not mixing arguments. I'm telling you.
That's
what it's about.
That's
what it's about. There was no real money exchange. There was no real thing where the parents said, you gotta go fuck him because I said so. And if you don't come back with no money, I'ma beat your ass.
So she didn't say in the letter to her.
It doesn't matter about her saying, go entice him.
You and
on his forehead. Hug him, squeeze him. You know, sing the song and make sure you're pretty. And who gives a fuck about that?
This is where
the law is not about that. The law is about exchange.
This is where you always put your hands over your ears, start yelling, saying, no, you do it every time.
You never let me get a word out, nigga. Let me get my whole word out.
Go ahead.
And then you could talk, because you be talking forever. Let me get a word in, and then you could go talk again. That's why I gotta interrupt you the way I do, bro.
You're right. Go ahead.
It's not out of disrespect. It's just because I gotta get a word in, or I'm not gonna get it.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's all I'm basically saying, Levi. There is no real proof of sex trafficking. None. It doesn't matter about what they said to her. The only thing that would matter is if they actually really had proof, evidence that the girl was coerced or forced or kidnapped in real life. And they said, listen, you're going to fucking go and you're going to fuck R. Kelly and you're going to fucking bring that money back. Or I'm going to kill you. Or I'm going to whoop your ass. Or I'm going to leave you in the street. Or whatever. They did not do that, babe. So therefore, the government can't do anything about that. They can't. Just because the parents said, okay, we give you permission to travel. Go. All right. They're just giving her permission to travel. Nothing else.
Okay, may I respond?
Yes.
In order to satisfy turning a deaf ear and a blind eye to it, and I understand.
I'm not turning a deaf ear and a blind eye, puppy. I'm seeing what the fuck for it is. I'm not no dummy. I see what the fuck I see. The law is the law. And that's just the way it is, Levi. We can't control that shit unless you and your peoples go stomping up to Washington to make some fucking change for your cousin. Other than that, laws are not going to change.
Y'all say I should cut me off? now y'all see why I had to get rid of.
Go on mute, because right now I'm about to spark my blood. I'm going to go on mute and I'm going to let you talk, Levi. Go ahead.
Now y'all see why I packed my shit that morning and left.
The dragon, the Pisces is the worst. You ain't know?
That's right. Listen to me, y'all. This is a very sensitive subject for Diva, and I concede that she's right that the parents cannot consent for their minor child to have sex with an adult. That is the law. I concede to that. I understand that.
Right. That's all I was saying, Levi. That's all.
Okay, sweetie, let me finish. However, that's not an argument. That's another pair of train tracks over there. Let's deal with this pair over here that I'm on. In order for Diva to satisfy her position, to feel good about her position, she must, in her mind, delete and omit several factors. One being, before the young lady even met Robert, you have the mother saying, girl, he's trying to screw. So you know what his intentions are. For two, while they, which they would have never been able to get away with in the court of law, but while they went to the public and said it was about an audition, you read the text messages where Robert is saying to the mother, thinking that he's talking to the daughter, I didn't even know you sang, but I ain't got no problem. You come on down to the hotel, you can sing, sing a song or two. But he's already made it clear what he's trying to do. That's for two. For three, when you say, Diva, if you play the tape back, you said out of your mouth, you said that it's not like they told her to go up in there and have sex with him. Wait a minute. When you say to your minor child, y'all are going to have some beautiful babies, my son-in-law is going to be older than me.
That's just a fantasy.
Okay, it's a fantasy. The mother was saying,
it's a dream. A fantasy.
Let me respond. Was it a fantasy? Is this fantasy talk? You better take your ass up there in that hotel room and get on his back and give him a massage with your pussy and your ass on his back. Is that a fantasy? Or is that instruction?
Wait a minute. Who said that?
Have you ever given a man a massage? Your private.
Who said that? Wait a minute, Levi. Hold up. Who said that?
Diva, listen to me. Let me respond.
Right. Who said that?
Ask your brother. Listen to me. Ask your brother. Ask your husband. Ask any man you know. Listen to me, y'all. What is the highlight? What is the joy of a woman giving us a back massage? It's not the hands on our back and shoulders. It is feeling the heat of her ass and her vagina on our back. You can feel the heat grow as she's on your back. That is the joy. So that woman, her mother, being a street woman, a self-professed street woman, understands when a woman sits on a man's back and gives him a back massage, that's the shit. That's past kissing. That's past fondling. Ain't nothing to do but turn over and hit.
Who said that?
The mother told the daughter, you better go upstairs at that hotel or somebody else is going to do it and give him a back massage. You didn't read that?
Yes, a back massage, but she didn't say jump on his back and like hump him and shit and massage him. She didn't say all that extra shit, Levi. Stop.
Okay.
Don't add extra to the narrative, please.
Are you
speak truth over here? If we're gonna say shit, let's try to speak truth.
Okay,
let's not add extra shit to what's going on, because that's why people out here are fucking distorted, and you know that, Levi.
Yes, ma'am. Let me say this to you. 2 quick points. One, 80% of the people who are in federal prisons, those who are in federal prisons, for instance, for drugs, the government has its own interpreters. So the person may say, "You got them pancakes? Yeah, I'm coming over for some pancakes. How many you want? Shit, I'm hungry. Make me 10 pancakes." So when the government files the indictment, they talk about the wiretap. The person says pancakes.
Right.
And the investigator, just as in the case with R. Kelly, if you notice, Savette Reynoso and them would say, "In my experience, when the person said this, they were really saying that in my experience in the field." Right. So you as a woman, me as a man, everyone listening to me, when your mother had instructed you to go get on a 47-year-old man's back and give him a back massage when you were 17, darling?
Well, my mother gave me permission to date a 26-year-old and I was 16. She actually gave the man permission to date me.
Okay.
And yes, I was already having sex and my mother knew.
Okay, cool. Well, in this case, without a doubt, we're going to cut through the chase, as a matter of fact. Are you saying in front of these beautiful people here, your position, Diva, what's the date? What's the day today, Diva? The 4th?
It is the 5th of February, 2024.
Yes, ma'am. And we're going to record this, y'all. Screen record this. Are you going on record saying that on April 16th of 2015 and the week that transpired after that date, that the mother and father of Jane Doe number 5 had no intentions of their daughter having sex with R. Kelly? Yes or no?
I don't think they had intentions of letting it happen, but they were just saying, if it happens, it happens.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If what you just said is true, why would there be a need for those two bastards, her parents, to instruct their minor 17-year-old daughter to tell that grown-ass man that she was 18?
You know, Levi, I saw a video of this young lady the other day singing R. Kelly's song, If You Can Turn Back the Hands of Time. That song was done way before 2015. Now, the parents said she didn't know nothing about R. Kelly. But yet, here she is at 13 or 14 years old singing If I Can Turn Back the Hands of Time by R. Kelly. But the little girl had to go research about R. Kelly because she didn't know nothing about R. Kelly. So yeah, I do think about shit sometimes, Levi. I fucking do. I know money is the motherfucking motive with that family. I get it. Trust me. But the problem is proving it. That's the fucking problem. Proving where these parents went wrong to the courts.
I have a question.
All the way around, those parents at the end of the day are fucking protected. And there ain't shit that can't none of us fucking do at the end of the day. So we should just leave it where it's at, because this shit is going in circles and circles and circles, and we ain't ending up with no squares.
All right. Well, sweetheart, all I can say to you is stay tuned.
Puppy. You know Diva's always reporting on the R. Kelly situation.
Stay tuned.
I'll be waiting, bro.
Thank you, darling. I'm about to eat. And I really enjoy speaking with you. You know you're one of my favorites.
You know I respect you, beautiful, bro.
And I thank you so much. We got a lot accomplished.
Yes, sir.
You have a wonderful evening.
You too, puppy. One love.
One love.
Okay. So now that we got that out the way, how's everybody doing? Peter, what's up, my love? Chip is in here. Are you enjoying yourself, Chip? Now, I don't know if you are really brand new to my channel or if you've been sitting in the background watching, or you were somebody who was always in the chat, but now you changed your name because you want to be in the chat so nobody knows who the fuck you are. Okay, what's up, yo? You see this case? So this is the case of R. Kelly and his drama. I mean, we've been through everything with R. Kelly, okay? And we don't know him, all right? But I feel like, goddamn, he's my cousin too by now, okay? And I think my cousin's guilty. And that's what it is. You're having a ball. Wonderful. I'm glad you are, brother. And thank you, Levi, once again for coming up. You already know I show you much love. You know, nothing but love and respect at the end of the day. And I could appreciate you being R. Kelly, and you know that I'm on the opposite side, and I think your cousin's guilty as hell, 1000%. And I appreciate the fact that we can have conversations like that and, you know, just talk about it, because that's what these platforms were all made for all of us to go across the board talking about this situation and conversating, making those conversations that people don't want to have. That's the point. So when people are out here like, oh, I don't want you going over here on this channel. Oh, I don't want you going over there on that channel. Oh, why are you a moderator over here? Oh, why are you like, that shit is stupid, bro. It's dumb. The point of all of us being in this sector is to have conversations, not fight each other. We're supposed to be grown ass fucking adults conversating about a very complicated case. And everybody out here who has had an interest in this case, one way or another, can relate to the case or can understand the case. Or you have a side. You're on the left or you're on the right. I mean, it's come to a point where we've made teams, and you know, it's like it's true. What you know, people have actually said that we look like fucking cults out here. I'm not a fucking cult. I'm not part of a cult. I'm not trying to keep nobody trapped. I'm not trying to tell you where the fuck to go. I'm not trying to fucking spin your head and make you think one way. I'm just trying to spill the facts of the case, give information according to what we all know, understand the law, learn about the law, understand the case, talk about it, and agree to disagree with people without being personal and taking attacks against each other. This shit is stupid. We're all fucking adults at the end of the day, and then we're real grown. Real grown. We're not 20. We're in our 40s, 50s, bro. Why the fuck are we out here attacking each other? Because of our feelings and our opinions. We should just say what we need to say to each other about the case without taking personal digs. But everybody out here is fighting, and there's a lot of confusion. And we're still going around in circles because people still really don't understand. Because nobody wants to really sit, conversate, and listen. Everybody wants to just fucking fight. The next appeal, mommy, is February 22nd. And that's for Chicago. New York still hasn't had a date yet. I've been looking at the calendar. They still haven't put a date out yet. They still have not put a date out yet. New York is so fucking slow. I can't. They really are with everything. You know, you think New York is fast-paced, but when it comes to the government, they are fucking slow, okay? Seriously. They are really fucking slow. Word up. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, baby. All right, I want to see everybody win. What the fuck? I'm never a hater. That's one thing. I'm never a hater. Yo, Sylvia, power to you, girl. Keep the haters hating on you. You're doing your fucking thing. That's what it is. Like, come on now. Me and her ain't the best of fucking friends. We ain't shit. We on opposite sides. I do not agree with that woman. She gives me certain things. My antennas go up. But I could respect her for what she does. She does her work. She really puts in work. She really is trying to be a blogger. Out here, I'm just here talking about the R. Kelly case. And if other cases come along, like I said, there's certain things I have talked about. I've talked about the GYN who fucking raped women. Okay? I've talked about the old man who fucking had like 96 kids. I talked about Larry Nassar. I've talked about Jeffrey Epstein. I've talked about Marilyn Manson. I've talked about different people. But nobody really pays attention to that. They pay attention to all the R. Kelly shit. And they always say, oh, you're always stuck on R. Kelly. Yes, you goddamn right. You know what? I got a whole bunch of books that I still haven't even finished reading, y'all. This R. Kelly saga could go on. I've done a lot of research from the beginning. And I'm not done with R. Kelly yet. And I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I chose to take this case and take it seriously because I am a victim, a survivor of abuse. And everybody out here knows that. And yes, I do believe women. And yes, sometimes women lie. It happens. I've seen it. I've even experienced that with a friend and had to pull her tail and tell her, what the fuck are you doing? You have me come here to this precinct to lie on this man? No, I'm fucking leaving. I'm not part of this shit. And you should take your ass with me. And we left. Because she knew she was wrong and she knew I was right. You don't fucking play games like that. That's why women aren't believed. But men ain't no fucking better. Men put women in these positions all the time. They're always gaslighting and coercing and manipulating and convincing, throwing their dick around, money around, their status around. I'm a big shot. I got fancy cars. I got this, I got that. Of course, to a girl like me who hasn't had a lot in life, that's going to attract. That's going to say, wow, he got all that and he's willing to give it to me too? Oh, shit. You know what? I'm willing to do whatever he wants me to do. And then you get caught up in a fucking situation and then you're trapped. It happens. It's called fucking human nature. Just like a 16-year-old having sex with a 26-year-old. Yes, it's human nature. We develop early. Starting from the age of 9. Puberty. We have these feelings. We get tinglings. We start exploring our own bodies. By the time we're 13, we're shooting out puppy water and having orgasms if we know how to give ourselves one. If we found out how to do it. You explore your body. And then you get curious. And then you start liking boys and girls. And now you have a little boyfriend or a little girlfriend. And you're 14 and you're 13. And you like each other and you start kissing. And then you start touching and feeling up on each other. These things happen. It's human nature. But what is wrong is the difference in ages. So what? A 14-year-old has a sex with a 15-year-old. That's okay. That's normal. What's not normal is when you have a 15-year-old have sex with a 47-year-old. That's not normal. That's abuse. Because this man is way older than this child. Because at the end of the day, that's a fucking child. I don't care if she already had sex with 6 boys. She's still a fucking child. And a man is taking advantage of that child, even though she's experienced. You're still taking advantage of a child. And by law, that is wrong. Now, me at 16 years old, my mother gave me permission to date a 26-year-old. She already knew I was having sex because I told her at the age of 13. I made my abuse look normal to my mother because she heard rumors about her daughter. She didn't know I was being abused and trafficked within the circle. She didn't know what was going on. She knew I was molested by an older man who was 60 and I was 9. She knew about that. I was just molested. I didn't have sex yet. After that, I wound up being abused and being sexually abused. And for me, it looked normal. I didn't know I was being abused. It looked like I was a girl who was going through puberty and boys liked her. That's how bad I was gaslighted, okay? Oh, we love you, Estelle. We love you. I want you to be mine. You're all mine. Can't nobody have you. I love you. I'll protect you. You grown. I'm grown. We grown. Here I am, 9 years old with 14-year-old boys, 13-year-old boys. That experience of me jerking off a 60-year-old man and watching porn did some shit to me. It opened up things that were not supposed to be open. Just like R. Kelly said happened to him, happened to me. I felt the same exact way. It got to a point where I stood up for myself. And I said, fuck this shit. I'm being abused. And I realized I was being abused. I woke up. I learned my lesson. I took my L and blamed everything on myself. And none of that shit was my fucking fault. And I was a child. And nobody protected me. Because I didn't let nobody in. I didn't tell no one nothing. Everything had to be a secret. Shh. Don't say nothing. Shh. Don't tell nobody. Shh. Quiet. Shh. Stop yelling. That's what I went through. My mouth being covered. Them telling me to shut up. Shut up. Don't say nothing or else. Or else what? That's what I was afraid of. The or else what? After a while, I just gave up and gave in and let it all happen to me. That's what happened. And that's exactly what happens to these girls. In R. Kelly's hands. They fell for the fucking okie doke. Okay? And once they were trapped, they didn't know what to do. How to leave, how to go, what to do, what to say. They didn't know. That's a problem. That's a problem in society. It's called domestic violence. It's called intimate sexual partner violence. It can happen to anybody. Married women get raped every day. Every single day. Yes, we are to give ourselves up to our man. We have to respect, honor, and obey, right? My body is his temple, right? God tells me I have to give my body up to my husband, whether I want to or not. God is allowing me to be raped every day because we have to honor and obey. If you really pay attention to wedding vows, listen to what they say. God is telling you that the man has to be in control. The woman is underneath the man. And that's how society lives. So, on that note, we're going to, I'm going to put the link to the video we were watching earlier. Okay. I don't know how long into the video we were. Maybe if you guys want to finish watching it here, or if you want, let me see, it says 32 minutes and we got 49 minutes. So 30, 35, 40, 45. We got 15 minutes. All right, we got like 15, 16 minutes. So I'm going to continue to let's listen to the Lawful Masses is the name of the channel. It's called Lawful Masses with Leonard French. And like I said, he was checking out R. Kelly's letter that Don Russell, and according to Don Russell, Brian Nix and his mom made up. It wasn't him who did this. This letter was produced, according to Don Russell, which is what we just read about, right? That Don Russell is the one. Don Russell isn't the one who produced this letter. It was Brian Nix, R. Kelly's lawyer, ex-lawyer, and Don Russell's mother. Don is saying that this letter, he just sent it out. So he did that part. He sent it out. This is the lie. This is his story. We're going to go with his story, okay? This is my story. And I'm sticking to it, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm sticking to it, Yeah. Okay, guys, so we're going to listen to the rest of this. They're trying to figure it out, and they are so funny. I love them. I mean, I know some of you guys will probably think like they're corny or whatever, but I don't know. I'm kind of like, that's why I think I enjoy the law, because I'm kind of corny that way. So what might be interesting to me might not be interesting to you, because I'm just like a cornball like that. I mean, I'm a Pisces. I'm corny. What do you want? But that's just what it is. But let's continue to the rest of this commentary. And I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Please make sure you hit that like button, okay? And share the show and enjoy the show. All right, so I'm going to share it, guys, all right? And then we're going to go out with that. Oh, Robin said, can I see Levi's law license, please? I understand child predators lurk everywhere: school, work, church, corner store, and your own families and home. And that is a fact. And yes, that is a fact, Peter. It happens to anybody, anywhere, anytime, with anyone. Okay? Anyone. Thank you, baby. You know, I don't I don't like to tell people my story, but in this situation is the reason why I was able to tell my story, because these girls gave me the courage to come forward and tell my story. Like I said, my mother did not know what happened to me until 5 years ago. I was already in my 40s, and this happened to me when I was a little girl into my teens. And in between that, growing up, I did get violated in between too as an adult. It happens. And I didn't report it. Why? Because I had a bad experience when I did get groped on the subway. I was just groped on the subway. That freaked me out. I could have been kidnapped and everything, raped right then and there. Thank God for the guy that was at the booth and he yelled. I yelled and it made the booth, the token clerk aware to where he scared the guy off. And it took so long for the cops to come to me. Like, that was crazy. What if I would have been raped? How long would it have taken them to get there? And then would they even believe me? Would they blame me because I was out at 7 a.m. in a long dress by myself at the age of 19, 20? Oh, I think I was 21, something like that. I think I was in between 19 and 21. Like, shit is real, y'all. Shit is real. All right, guys. So we're gonna end this last little 25 minutes. I'll make it a 4-hour live with this video. So, you know, and people think that this shit is a joke. All right, guys. So I believe in this part, they were at the point where they were trying to match signatures. Okay. Now, like I said, this is the document that was sent to Faith Rogers' lawyer so that she could stop the lawsuit. This was the first parts that happened in 2018. Like I said, this all started with Don Russell and R. Kelly in 2017 and 18. Okay? All this started in 2017 and 18 is when the ball started to get rolling with investigating R. Kelly. Okay? They really started in 2016, but in 2017 is when they were trumping charges so that they can peel that indictment and do what they did. Okay? Okay.
In the one civil case I was in, yes, the summons was added to the docket.
So
But who is this third person that would profit from forging the letter?
Someone who has hate for R&B.
But why would they go the Sov sit
All right, wait, let
slash
me rewind this a little bit. Just
leaning
so,
towards
Could
witness
already
tampering?
be crazy.
Okay, hold on.
Wouldn't the summons be on the docket though?
Okay.
Slant is way too far to one side. You could again infer that they are feeling somewhat off. If a person's signature is way too large for the thing, they may be feeling weak and maybe overcompensating. If a person's signature looks shaky, they may literally be nervous, etc., etc., etc.
I am missing one step.
Yeah.
It's how would a third party who would forge this know of the original summons in order to forge the letter? I mean, they'd have to know about it.
Wouldn't the summons be on the docket though? Wouldn't when the complaining party requests the summons, isn't a copy of the summons put on the docket?
I don't know how Illinois does business.
So it's possible that it was served, and maybe even the return of service was in there, and they just edited the pages of the documents out or other things.
In the one civil case I was in, yes, the summons was added to the docket.
So
But who is this third person that would profit from forging the letter?
Someone who has hate for R&B.
But why would they go the Sov sit / leaning towards
Could
witness
already
tampering?
be crazy.
That was mostly a joke on my part.
So the speculation here is incredibly obsessed fan wrote this for some
An
reason.
incredibly
Is the
obsessed
possibility?
fan. You're right.
I mean, I guess it's possible.
Yeah. Here we go. So New York State CEF. EF is usually electronic filing. New York Supreme Court would be NYSC, and Supreme Court of New York is the lowest court in New York. It is a court of first opinion, or let me see if I've learned a word from Edward Thomas Kennedy, a Nisi Prius court. So this has been printed from the CEF system, or we call it a CMECF system in federal, so I'm getting that mixed up. This has been printed from the EF system. Now that might be the way it's done, but it might also be that someone printed this off of the system and then sent this in. Second, look when this would have been sent. This summons would have been from May 21st, 20-something in the tens. So I'm assuming that's 2018. Why then is the summons being returned with this notarized letter and everything in October? So maybe it is fake?
Have you looked at R. Kelly's signature, Matt? Matt asked me privately on Discord if you've looked to see if it looks the same and all that.
Yeah,
because you were looking at the notary, but
R. Kelly signature.
They did a great job.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of copies of his signature. Let's try autograph.
And that does not look like R. Kelly's signature on those documents.
Well, some of these look positively fake. But compare that with that. I'm not seeing anything that's even remotely similar about the way he makes those autographs.
How about the art signatures on the page of his? Are they even consistent with themselves?
Yes. But also not really. So there's the spike up at the top, and there's this thing here. This comes down here.
So they're examining his signature.
Also, the witness. Wouldn't the witness have been the notary?
Yes, the witness is the notary.
I guess that's why we had to make this second notice of delivery
that's the
here.
mom.
Yeah, not necessarily.
That's Don Russell's mother, June Barrett.
Even the signatures for his autograph or whatever, they seem to be a little bit different. The signer seems to have signed it 4 times, but they don't seem at all consistent. And then let's look at the Lydia Hills for comparison, because this would have been from the summons would have been signed by Lydia Hills, Esquire, Faith Rogers' attorney, and they look, frankly, nearly identical.
Right. So the document,
almost every part of them looks
the summons is real.
Absolutely identical. Certainly not exactly the same. So, yeah, I think this might be either a hastily created letter or a terribly done fake. Convincingly, certainly convinced us for a little bit that it could be a letter from R. Kelly. So I think we still edit this together and put this out with a giant question mark on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah, do you wanna-
basically teling me that this was too good to be true? It was
Yes.
too good.
It
of a
might actually be
solvency
too good to
document.
be true.
Should I put that as the opener then? I think that this might be a convincing fake.
Well,
And then
maybe
you go.
you figure it out when you're editing it, but I think the title should be something like R. Kelly, sovereign citizen ?
Okay,
And
one more
R.
thing while I'm
Kelly's
thinking
the
about it.
sovereign
If this were a
citizen.
fake
It
letter,
is, guess who?
presumably because it's in the electronic system,
Russell.
R. Kelly's lawyers would have become aware of it. So wouldn't they have filed something on the docket saying that this previous letter is a fake formally?
The summons would have been on the docket, and yeah, I'm assuming that they would have had, if he's saying in the letter, I need to put this thing on the docket officially, yeah, there should be something on the docket officially.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this case came to R. Kelly's lawyer's attention if he was summoned, which I'm assuming the answer to that question is yes, one way or the
Yes,
other.
it did.
And if it came to their attention and if it's fake, you would think that they would put something on the docket saying this prior letter is a fake. So I'm
Yes,
wondering if
they
they
wanted
actually
to
filed anything
dismiss
officially
that.
in court
Well, let's
saying
take a
that.
look. New York Supreme Court e-filing.
Because if they
Unified
said
court
it on the
system.
record, I'll
Log
take it
into
as
my
true.
account. Search as a guest. Enter the characters. JRBVTR. I am not a robot. And what's the case number here? Case
They did that
number
thing going
is
in.
probably
Okay.
listed here someplace, right? It is not listed here.
They want to know, did
let's
R.
see.
Kelly really write this letter?
Name.
Because this shit looks
Party.
crazy.
Last name Kelly. Robert E? No, Robert. County, New York County. So Faith
should have put
Rogers,
S.
Robert
The
Kelly,
S probably would have
5/21,
popped up.
2018. So that's the proper date. Yeah, there's nothing on the docket. It shows. Hang on, I'm trying to
Yes,
fix
they got
this.
it in. They got
There
it.
we go.
They're gonna look at it now.
It shows the summons, a complaint, an affidavit of service from 10/4. So he was served on 10/4. So it is entirely possible that he sent something on October 29th because he wasn't even served until October. That timing is this gets weirder, right? It just gets weirder because the timing is now correct there for him to receive the summons right before he would have prepared and sent this. And who would have had a copy of this? Well, really, I mean, I guess anybody who goes on this website and downloads it. But would someone really have been watching to see when is he going to get served, and then I'll send a letter and screw everything up? It's possible. It's possible. However, it does not. I do not see anything on here that looks like it has been this rejection of this summons. You know, I do not accept your offer to contract or whatever. I don't see anything on here that suggests that this has been filed on here on the court docket. Everything that's been filed has been filed by Lydia Hills, who is Ms. Rogers' attorney. It looks like.
But this document has a e-filing number at the top of the printout, doesn't it?
Yes, this document is ECF1, the summons. So here we go, ECF1, the summons.
Okay,
and
that's
then
fair.
Down here, document number 2 is a complaint, and then it doesn't go on from there.
Is there anything in 4 or 5 that's helpful?
Preliminary conference request or request for preliminary conference.
Yeah, I wonder if there's anything in any of that might provide any light on this.
The undersigned requests a preliminary conference.
In terms of the letter that has the I do not consent to this, was that given to the lawyer or was that given to the courts?
That might have been given to the lawyer. It says
saying,
though that he wanted to file this. It says here right in the beginning, that these instruments must be rejected and returned with a copy of the rejection filed clearly on the public record. Wait,
So it says pro se. That's real encouraging. What's the other document?
Yeah, so then it says pro se. So wait, does he have an attorney who is then in this article back here saying that, oh, his attorneys have said that that letter is not genuine? Okay, well, why aren't you entering your appearance here, defendant pro se Robert Kelly? Like, where is his attorney? That's weird.
Yeah, look at the last document, the last filing where that's the response to whatever. See
This
if
is
that
a
has
request
anything.
for judicial intervention.
Yeah, let's see what that says. Nothing of help.
Nothing of help. So she's filing a request for a preliminary conference. They have an affidavit of service here, which looks like this. That she served him with the summons on September 14th. And so the weird part then becomes, why is there not like a notice of default or something? Maybe they're still talking, but why he hasn't responded on the public record? I'm guessing that there's something going on behind the scenes there.
Something's weird.
But so far, none of this flips my belief one way or the other that this is either a fake letter or not a fake letter. If it was fake and he really did have attorneys that were responding, he wouldn't be pro se. As of January 8th was when we saw that say pro se, right? So yeah, something's going on here. Either he hasn't secured an attorney until now, that could be possible. The letter could be fake, or it could be real and he just hasn't secured an attorney till now, because the summons was generated on May 21st and was served on him in September and returned on the 8th of October or something. And then he writes this thing back, or allegedly writes this thing back on October 29th and then sent. So it could happen this way. I can't say one way or the other. You make your decision for yourself, my lawful masses. So what do we think of R. Kelly's? Do we think that's fake? Do we think that's real? And what do we think if it's fake? That's an awfully compelling fake. And if it's real, that's absolutely nuts, right?
I mean, the lawyer that received it felt that it was real-ish, real enough to deal with it.
Do we know that the lawyer released it? Is that what the thing said? Or was it leaked to entertainment news sources? The Independent is reporting that the woman, who I'm guessing is Faith Rogers, because it says it in the next paragraph then, said that he had written to her in what she said was an attempt at victim shaming. The letter allegedly sent to Ms. Rogers said if she continued with her lawsuit, she would be subjected to public opinion. Lawyers for Kelly have claimed the letter is not genuine.
I remember that in that document.
Yeah,
that was a thing that was
said.
Doesn't
yes. Change. It doesn't really change the evaluation, because even if it's released by the victim, it doesn't mean that it was sent by Mr. Kelly. And it does make sense that a person who is represented by attorneys would go through their attorneys in the vast majority of cases, which is why this is remarkable. If he skipped his attorneys and wrote this letter, this could also just be someone made a letter, which is also staggeringly scary, right? If some third party wrote a letter to the victim on behalf of a perpetrator without the perpetrator's knowledge. So if someone wrote this to Ms. Rogers on behalf of R. Kelly without R. Kelly's knowledge, holy crap. Like, as F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, this story is true whether or not it really happened. All right, so that's our show. Thank you very much for joining me.
Okay, so that was the end of that, guys. So, dun, dun, dun. Well, guys, I just went in to see an update on R. Kelly's appeal. And according to the docket here, I'm going to show you guys. According to the docket here, it says February 5th, 2024, which is today, docket number 146, the case calendaring for argument on March 18th, 2024. Panel A is set. So the case is set in stone, and it's entered for oral arguments on March 18th of 2024, guys. And I also noticed that Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell also has an appeal coming up as well. Hers is on where was it at? Hold on. Let me see. I just saw it. I think it was the 8th or the 9th, something like that. I think it was the 8th or the 9th. No. Oh, here it is. Ghislaine Maxwell, the United States versus America. United States of America versus Ghislaine Maxwell. And her appeal is Tuesday, March 12th on 2024 at 10 a.m. Now, when I go to the calendar over here for the 18th is not set in here yet. So they haven't officially put it in the calendar, but it has been set for the 18th of March, according to the docket here. All right. So, guys, just giving you that update real quick. All right. Letting you guys know that the argument was set for March 18th. And it was so entered today. So we should probably see it up on the calendar probably next week. By next week, it should probably be there, or tomorrow, in the actual calendar date. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the live. You got some information off this live. Guys, don't forget, please hit that like button, okay? Share and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, please make sure you hit the notification bell and you put the notification on all. Because when you put the notification on all, you'll get to see every single time I do something. If you just put the notification on, you're only going to get every notification every so often. All right. So just to remind you guys, make sure you put your notification bell on all. All right. All right, guys. And y'all already know you want to support your girl Diva. You already know my Cash App is on the bottom of the screen. Thank you to everyone who hit the super chat. And your girl Diva Divine Light is out. You already know. Peace.
You are watching Diva, Divine Light.
You can fuck with me if these is red bottoms, these is bloody shoes. Hit the scoop, I can get them both. I don't want to choose, and I'm quick. Cut every nigga off, so don't get comfortable. Look, I don't dance now, I make money move. Now I gotta dance, I make money move. If I see you now, that means I don't fuck with you. I'm a boss, you a worker, bitch. I make bloody move. Now she say, gon' do what a hoop. Let's find out if you Cardi B. You know where I'm at, you know where I be. Just a party, I'm there, I can play. I be in and out the bank so much, I know they tired of me. Honest.